'cause this will be double.
The makers of Epic Pure Sunflower Oil, Purine and Pret Cooking Fat, Yum Yum Peanut Butter, Maple Margarine, and Niblets Cheese Twists present the Epic Casebook. In which Inspector Carr investigates.
Good evening. I don't think it's in my province to comment on the problems confronting the authorities concerning the so-called places of entertainment which only get into their stride, or, to use modern parlance, start swinging when most people are ready for bed. Of course, I'm referring to nightclubs, a certain kind of discotheque and the like. Whenever accounts are published which tell of lawlessness or drug pushing or what have you, the reaction of most people is, why don't they close the place down? Now, there are two answers to that. In the first place, it would be wrong to penalize the owners of an establishment if they were entirely unaware of the wrongdoing. And in the second place, a very much more important answer is this. It's far easier for those who protect the country's morals and laws to keep an eye on known members of the underworld when these characters are allowed to rendezvous at places to which the general public are admitted. All over the world, there are well-known meeting places which continue to flourish, although many of their clientele are gangsters and crooks of the worst variety. Close these places down, and these unsavory characters would continue to foregather for their enjoyment, but at spots hidden from the eyes of the law. Take a club that was quite famous in its day. For some obscure reason, it was known as Le Lapin Bleu. Why it was known as the Blue Rabbit, and why in French, I've never been able to discover. The man who ran it was a particularly unpleasant character known as Gloomy Gilbert. He met his deserts one day, although it wasn't the law that caught up with him. However, let me tell you the story, which I've called Death on the Counterfoil. It was some minutes after Big Ben had struck the hour of midday when Scotland Yard was alerted of Gloomy Gilbert's death. The head waiter of the Blue Rabbit, to give it its English title, dialed 999 and told the control officer that he'd found his boss lying on the floor of his office with his head bashed in. Accompanied by the worthy Sergeant Jackson, I rushed to the scene. So, you found the body,
Yes, sir. I knocked at the door, got no answer. I shouted out to Mr. Gilbert there was a gent to see him, and still no answer. I opened the door, there he was, lying there, just as he is now.
As indeed he was. Gloomy Gilbert was lying astride an expensively carpeted floor. The dried blood and the dark bruise above the temple told its story only too well. Yet there seemed to be no sign of struggle. There was very little on his desk except an inkstand, calendar, a blotting pad, and a diary. I asked Jackson to wade through the man's effects as I continued questioning Bertrand. Now, you say a man wanted to see Gilbert. Who was he?
I don't know, sir. I must have shut it out when I saw Gloomy Gilbert lying there like that. Anyway, when I ran down the stairs to dial 999 from the blower in the hall, he'd gone.
I see. Well, didn't he say something like, my name's George or something? I want to see Mr. Gilbert?
No. Lots of people come here to see the old so-and-so. They didn't introduce themselves to me, you know. They just said, Alf wants to see him, or Bert, or Charlie, or Lord Muck.
You seem rather pally, Lord.
Oh, no, Inspector. Not so pally when they come out of this office, believe me. I don't know what goes on in here. I've got a pretty good idea.
So have we. I remember the man when he ran the Purple Club. Just a minute. Perfume. Ladies' perfume. Who else was here this morning?
Oh, I can't tell you exactly, sir. I'm down in the basement. The front door's usually open. I saw the manager take a man called Fred up. That's about all.
The manager? Where's he? Is he around?
Yes. I think he's having a cup of coffee round the back. Come to think of it, I can smell perfume, too.
Can you smell perfume, Jackson?
Yes, sir, I can. I think a woman's been here.
In the days of Sherlock Holmes, it would have been a logical conclusion. Not these days. Some of the stuff that men put on their hair and their cheeks would make a room smell like Madame de Barry's boudoir. You found anything interesting?
Yes, sir, but there's plenty of stuff to look through here.
And keep at it. Tell me, Bertrand, wasn't Gilbert married? I can look up his records, of course.
That's right, Governor. About 2 years ago. 6 months was all she could stick him for. And she walked out.
Do you know if there was a divorce?
No. Now, look, what are we going to do with him? Is he going to lie there?
We're awaiting the arrival of Dr. McPherson, our senior police surgeon. Now, that'll be all for the moment. Oh, you won't go away for a while yet, will you?
No. I'll be upstairs if you want me.
Doesn't like us very much, does he, sir?
Don't suppose he likes anybody, poor devil, working in a dump like this. All right, Jackson, what have you found?
Oh, lots of papers in the safe, sir. Membership lists, bills.
Well, get hold of the bag, bring the stuff back to the yard. Is that all?
The usual IOUs, sir.
IOUs. Good, they might prove interesting. Gloomy Gilbert wasn't the sort of man to lend anybody anything unless he got extortionate interest for it. No murder weapon inside?
No, sir.
Oh, well, we'll seal up the office. Let the print boys give it the once-over.
Hello? Here's a checkbook, sir.
Huh?
Look at this, sir. Gloomy Gilbert issued 3 checks today.
Indeed. Plot thickens. Let me see. What's the counterfoil say? Yes, one to H.A. Henshaw. Another one to Smith Odie.
Oh, I don't believe it, sir.
What?
No one could be called Smith Odie.
Well, here you're doubting Thomas. Look. A. Smith Odie, £160.
Yeah, so it is. That's funny, sir. The third one just says the letter P.
Yes. So we know that at least 3 people saw the dead man this morning. Now, assuming he signed these checks in sequence, Gloomy Gilbert was alive when Henshaw and Smith Odie left. The last check to be written was in favor of a Mr. P, whoever that is. Let's see who that is, Jackson.
Right, sir.
Please, please. The waiter say you're still here. I wait. I very little sleep. I work here all yesterday until 3 o'clock this morning.
What do you do? What's your name?
I'm the manager. My name is Theophilus Papadopoulos. They call me Papa for short.
Sensible idea. Now, tell me, what do you know about this?
I know nothing. I come here this morning to fix the accounts, and Bertrand, the head waiter, he tell me the boss is killed.
Been here all morning?
Yes, I come here at 10 o'clock to work on the accounts, and I leave at 12 to eat lunch.
Well, don't you eat here?
Here, Mr. Policeman, this is a nightclub, not a restaurant. You drink the wine, you dance with the girls, you...
Yes, I know what you do here. Did you work on the accounts with Mr. Gilbert in this office?
Yes, I tell you, I leave at 12.
I see. And when you left, was there anybody with Mr. Gilbert?
No, but a man, he went outside.
Oh? Who? Any idea who he was?
No.
I bet my non-existent brother had you do.
Many people come here. They have business with the boss. I don't ask questions.
But you've seen the man before. It's written all over your face. What are you frightened of, man? Well, do you know him?
He come at night. He come here with friends.
Oh, don't make me drag everything out of you. Come on, man. What's his name?
They call him Freddy. I do not know his full name.
Freddy. All right. Now, tell me, Mr.
Theophilus Papadopoulos.
Oh, yes. Do you know a man called Henshaw?
Sure, I know him. He's the man we buy the wine from.
So he was here this morning,
Mr. Henshaw, in the morning. No, Mr. Henshaw sleep in the morning. He sent a boy for the check.
For £152.16 and 8pence.
That's right. How you know?
The counterfoil of the checkbook. There was a second check made out to A. Smith Odie for £160. Know anything about that?
No, it's private business with the boss.
All right, Mr. Papa.
Dopoulos.
Right, Mr. Dopoulos. Mr. Smith Odie, is he the man you saw waiting?
But I tell you, I only know Miss Freddy.
And?
Please, he lying there. It gives me the, how do you say, the willies.
Never mind that. There's a check made out to a person with the letter P. Can you throw any light on the matter?
Throw a light? I throw a fit if you're going to ask me questions about things I don't know. I'm a nightclub manager. Mr. Gilbert, he pays me. He just not like me asking questions. Not in a place like this.
All right, Mr.
Papadopoulos.
Thank you. You're sure that when you left, Mr. Gilbert was alive?
Please, what do you say? You think I killed him? What for? He's my boss.
Having a boss like Gloomy Gilbert is enough to make anyone want to commit murder. All right, that'll be all. Just leave your address in case we need you again, Mr. No, don't. I've got it. Papadopoulos. Good day to you.
Good day.
He looks pretty scared, sir, doesn't he?
Yes, but anyone working in a place like this must be scared of policemen. All right, wait until the police surgeon arrives. See that the print men do their stuff, Jackson. I'll go back to the yard. We've got to trace these 3 check holders. Carr speaking.
Information you wanted, sir?
Oh, yes, right, Ops.
Alfred Smith Odie, 36 Clamfield Avenue, Cricklewood. No known occupation. Known to be a frequenter of gaming houses.
Hey, wait a minute. Alfred Smith Odie. I bet it's our old friend Alfie, boy. Yes, he lived in Cricklewood. This is getting interesting. Very interesting. Anything else?
Yes, sir. Gilbert married Margaret Townsend, daughter of the chairman of European Chemicals Limited.
I'll bet that pleased Mr. Townsend. Anything else?
Yes, sir. About 18 months ago, Mrs. Gilbert asked for police protection. Inspector Winslow warned Gloomy Gilbert to leave his wife alone.
Got her address, Ops?
Yes, sir. 18 Thamesview Mansions, Richmond.
Fine, thank you. I think I'll have a word with Mr. Smith Odie.
I don't know what you want to see me for. I haven't done anything.
Well, let's take first things first, Mr. Smith Odie. By the way, is that your real name?
Yes, of course it is.
The new one, isn't it?
What do you mean, a new one? What's all this about, Inspector? You come into my home
No, I shouldn't use that high and mighty tone if I was you. Don't you remember me before I was made a member of the murder squad?
Murder?
Yes, murder. That's why I'm here. A murder's been committed, Mr. Smith. Or would you prefer Smith Odie? The tough, swaggering gambler seemed to shrink before my very eyes. His entire body seemed to sag. He looked at me with open mouth, white-faced, speechless. Aren't you going to say anything, Mr. Smith Odie?
I don't know anything about a murder. All I did was change my name from Smith to Smith Odie. That's no crime, is it?
My dear man, I never suggested it was. Now, have you been to the bank this morning?
Yes.
To the Piccadilly branch of the London Commercial Bank?
Yes, to cash a cheque.
For £160 made out by Gilberts of Le Lapin Bleu?
Yes. Look, nothing's happened. To Gloomy Gilbert, I mean.
What time did you leave, Gilbert?
Just before 12. I was in a hurry to cash the cheque. I needed the money. I borrowed it from
You borrowed £160.
That's a joke, Inspector. I borrowed £200 from him for a month. 20% interest with the first interest payment taken off the cheque.
So you got £160 and you have to pay him £200 next month.
Yes.
But you won't be able to pay him now, will you? The man's dead. He's been killed by someone.
Look, I lost 220 quid at Mario's last night. That's enough for me. I'm cleaned out. Right, everyone.
Just a minute, Alfred. Where are you going? You owe us 220 quid.
Yes, I know. I'll call round at your place with it this afternoon.
Don't give me that. Come on, fork out. 220 quid.
Oh, don't be like that. Put that razor back. Look, I've got 60 quid. I was keeping it back for the races. Take this. I'll bring you the rest by 4 o'clock.
You know what will happen to that ugly mug of yours if you don't. All right, 4 o'clock. Where are you going to get the money? Gloomy Gilbert again?
That's why I went round to see Gilbert. That's why I let him put the screws on me, charging 20% interest. What could I do?
You could promise him the 20% interest, let him make out the cheque in your favour, let him cancel the crossing on the cheque so that you get the cash, and then you could bash him on the head so that you didn't have to return the money. Of course, I didn't believe that a man like Smith would commit a murder in broad daylight with others on the premises for the sake of £200. I was looking for a deeper motive, waiting for some kind of reaction from the gambler which might give me a lead. It came, but not the kind of lead I expected.
Why don't you ask her?
Her?
Yes, that hoity-toity piece Gloomy Gilbert married a couple of years ago.
Go on.
Well, as I was rushing out of the club to cash the cheque...
Oh, look out. Look where you're going.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why, Mrs. Gilbert? Don't you remember me?
Remember you? Should I? Why?
No, I attended your wedding reception. Here at the Blue Lapang, when you both came back from Tangiers.
Well, that's something I'd rather not be reminded of.
Well, he's up there if you want to see him. Excuse me.
So this took place outside the club?
Yes, it did, Inspector.
I see. All right, Smith, don't leave town, will you? If there's anything else you'd like to tell me, you can always get me back at the yard. Come in. Ah, Jackson.
Dr. McPherson's report here, sir.
Ah, good. What does it say?
It wasn't a blunt instrument as we thought, sir.
What?
Something rather pointed.
Oh?
And Dr. McPherson says he was struck on the temple artery. That's why there wasn't much blood.
I see. Did he hazard a guess what kind of instrument?
No, sir. He's a bit puzzled by it. Now, here's a photograph of the wound.
All right, Jackson. Well, I'll have a word with Dr. McPherson later.
I've also got the print report, sir. Prints all over the place. They say it's going to be a pretty hopeless job. Oh, by the way, sir, they found a number of IOUs that we hadn't come across.
Really?
They were stuck behind the desk in a secret drawer.
Carr speaking.
Operations here, Inspector.
Yes?
Mr. Theophilus Papadopoulos.
Oh, well done. What have you found?
Arrived in UK from Greece 15 years ago. No criminal record. Opened a cafe, went bankrupt. Was taken over by Gloomy Gilbert.
That's interesting. I bet he pledged his soul to Gloomy, probably paying off his debt. That's a motive for murder. I think I'll have another word with our Greek friend. Okay, thanks, Ops. Sergeant, it's a long time since we paid a visit to a nightery. Follow me, Jackson.
Oh, Mr. Inspector, you come to visit us. You want to enjoy yourselves. A table for the gentlemen.
No, Mr.
Papadopoulos.
Oh, yes. No, we haven't come here to enjoy ourselves. We come to talk to you. Well, isn't there anywhere we can talk quietly?
Through here.
Thank you.
Look, Inspector, I tell you all I know.
I don't think you've been completely frank with us, Mr. Papadopoulos. Now the matter's too serious for us to start exchanging pleasantries over your name.
What do you mean?
I'll tell you what I mean. What happened to the clock?
Clock?
Yes, clock. Look, whoever killed Gloomy Gilbert didn't plan to do so. No one's going to commit a murder like that in the middle of the day. The killer would be seen entering and leaving the building. He killed on impulse, so he didn't have a murder weapon already planned.
Why you tell me all this?
One thing that struck me as I looked at the body, there was no watch. No watch on his wrist. No fob watch and no clock. There was one on his desk, wasn't there? Well, wasn't there? A square desk clock, one that could cause this kind of wound. Look at this picture, Mr. Papadopoulos.
The clock? The clock?
You're getting repetitious. What have you done with it?
I don't know. I didn't think of it. I didn't notice it was not there.
Sergeant Jackson, bring in the head waiter.
Right, sir.
You must believe me, Inspector. I hate Mr. Gilbert. He ruined me. I work here night and day, so I get back the IOU I gave him, but I did not kill him.
Look, Inspector, I told you, Sergeant, I'm very busy.
What do you think we're doing? Having a holiday? What happened to the clock on Gilbert's desk?
Oh, I don't know.
Didn't you notice it was missing?
Oh, yes, I did. All right, you can look at me like that. I don't care. I didn't want to get involved in nothing. I'm like the three wise monkeys. See nothing, say nothing, and hear nothing.
Charming. How do we know that you were telling the truth when you say he was dead when you walked into his office? How do we know that you didn't pick up the clock and bash him on the head with it?
You don't know, because I didn't do it. What for?
Then why didn't you report that the clock was missing from the desk?
Well, I don't know. I don't know whether I noticed it properly or not. It just wasn't there, and that's that.
But where is the clock?
Well, how do I know? Maybe you took it away with you when you bashed him in.
Why, you...
Stop it, you fools! That's better. Isn't one murder in Le Lapin Bleu enough? Can I use the phone?
Go ahead.
Either of you got any objections to my searching your rooms? I can always get a search warrant, you know.
Search as much as you like.
And you, Mr. Papadopoulos?
Search if you want.
Of Of course, the fact that they were willing to have their rooms searched robbed us of any hope of finding the clock. This in itself proved very little. If either one was guilty, he'd had ample time and opportunity to dispose of the murder weapon. By the time we'd finished, the night was making way for the dawn, and I was thankful to get a few hours' sleep.
Morning, sir.
Oh, morning, Jackson. Anything come through?
Just confirmation from the bank that Smith cashed his check at the time he stated.
What about Mrs. Gilbert? Her name's Margaret. The counterfoil showed initial P. Could be Peggy, short for Margaret.
No knowledge of a check. Oh, by the way, sir, you did say that you'd pay her a visit this morning.
Yes, I did. I'm going now. Order a car, will you? Are you telling me, Mrs. Gilbert, that I'm the first to tell you of your husband's death?
I've told you, haven't I? I've not read the papers or listened to the wireless or anything. The first I heard of it was when you came in here 10 minutes ago and told me. I'm quite staggered. I don't know what to say.
You seem to be taking the news very calmly.
Well, why not? I haven't been living with my husband for the past 18 months. I loathed and despised the man. You don't know what he did to me, how he made me run away with him. I'd have gone back to my father after I'd been married just a few days. He's strict, very hard, and he didn't want me back. I stuck it out for about 6 months, and then I left him.
I see. You visited your husband yesterday morning, didn't you, Mrs. Gilbert?
I?
Come now, Mrs. Gilbert, you were seen. Besides, I noticed the perfume you're wearing is the one I could smell in his office when we arrived there.
Yes, I went to see him. He owes me a lot of money. Money I had when I ran away with him. I went there to get some money I needed desperately.
Desperately?
I was convicted last week for dangerous driving. I was fined £60 with £7 costs and a week to pay it in. The week expires today. If I hadn't paid by 3 o'clock today, I'd have gone to prison. So I went to him to get the money.
And he wrote you out a cheque for £67.
Yes. How do you know that?
Your Christian name's Margaret, isn't it? I suppose your husband used to call you Peggy.
You seem to know a lot.
Not at all. It explains the letter P on the counterfoil. Tell me, how much money have you got in your bank account, Mrs. Gilbert?
Hardly anything. £5 or £6, I think. That's why I wanted a cheque from Gilbert, so that I could draw some cash. You can't pay a police court fine by cheque. And if you don't believe me, Inspector, here's the cheque.
Yes, it's a missing cheque. Seems to be quite in order. When did you leave the club?
Oh, I only stayed a few minutes. I really couldn't tell you the exact time. You see, I was in such a hurry. I took the tube and went straight to my uncle from there.
To your uncle? Where does he live?
In Hendon. You may have heard of him. He's the only one of the family who still talks to me. He's Dr. James Wilbur.
And then?
Well, I was unlucky. My uncle wasn't there. He'd been called to Birmingham, and he wouldn't be back before tomorrow afternoon. So I came straight back here.
Anybody who can confirm all that?
Well, you said yourself that I was seen at the club. My uncle's housekeeper will confirm that I was at Hendon at 1 o'clock and stayed there for about an hour. I had lunch with Mrs. Hopkins. That's my uncle's housekeeper. Then I came straight back here. And I haven't set foot out of this room since.
Mrs. Gilbert, I'm taking you along with me for questioning.
What do you mean?
I think it's best to take some clothes with you. We're allowed to keep you for 48 hours, even if you are innocent.
I am innocent, I tell you.
I think you're probably innocent of murder, but you're certainly guilty of manslaughter. Now, will you come with me, please?
What will they do to me?
Would you like to telephone your solicitor?
No. No, I'll tell you. I didn't mean to kill him. I went for the money, and I can't tell you the suggestion he made. He put his arms around me. To have £67 worth of fun, he said. I tried to push him away, but he was too strong for me. I managed to get one arm free, and, well, I picked up the clock and I struck him with it.
Where is the clock, Mrs. Gilbert? Did you take it away with you?
Yes. I put it in my handbag. Oh, Inspector, I didn't mean it. I really didn't.
Do you think she'll get off, sir?
Yes, with Dr. Macpherson's help. There are scratches on her body to bear witness to her written statement that they found skin tissue in the dead man's fingernails. No, she'll get off all right. Funny thing is, the clue which convinced me that she was the killer also pointed to her innocence of premeditated murder. Well, listeners, what was the clue? Not sure? Then listen to the commercial, and I'll be back to tell you. Well, what gave Mrs. Gilbert away? It was this.
Oh, hardly anything. £5 or £6, I think. That's why I wanted a cheque from Gilbert, so that I could draw some cash. You can't pay a police court fine by cheque. And if you don't believe me, Inspector, here's the cheque.
Mrs. Gilbert felt she didn't dare pay the cheque in. In her panic, she decided not to use the cheque and so rushed out to see her uncle, and then decided that she would go to prison rather than be involved in any way with her husband's death. If her husband was alive when she left the club, why did she not rush to the bank and cash the cheque? Well, I'm glad that she was found not guilty and that her act was one of self-defense. And the moral of the story: men, careful of the cheque you issue. It might recoil onto your own head. Good night.
The Epic Casebook was produced by Michael Silver for the makers of Epic Pure Sunflower Oil, Maple Margarine, Yum Yum Peanut Butter, and Niblets Cheese Twists, with Hugh Rouse as Inspector Carr. Listen again next Thursday night at 9:30 to another exciting story from our Epic Casebook.
Große Sophie Tafel.
The makers of Epic Pure Sunflower Oil, Purine and Pret Cooking Fat, Yum Yum Peanut Butter, Maple Margarine, and Niblets Cheese Twists present the Epic Casebook. In which Inspector Carr investigates.
Good evening. A few weeks ago, I went to a race meeting at Germiston, at which Jolly Drummer was the hot favorite for the main race. He was beaten by Uncle Ben from the Oppenheimer stable. Now, whenever this sort of thing happens, certain wiseacres will hint darkly of sinister goings-on and what have you. Well, as I went back with friends of mine, there is no doubt that Jolly Drummer finished the race somewhat lame. What some people fail to realize is that animals are like human beings. They have their off days just as we do. Oh, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that the sport of kings is entirely free from malpractice. Where there are great rewards to be won, there are certain to be persons of questionable character who'll perpetrate every trickery under the sun in order to get a share of the pickings. Why all this? Well, I'm going to tell you of a leading racehorse owner who was found dead under circumstances that left no one in doubt that murder had been committed. I've called my story, Death is the Victor. I've already indicated my interest in the sport of kings, and although I was not a frequent racegoer in England, one annual event I looked forward to was a minor classic in the English racing calendar. It was the 1,000 Guineas run at Sandown Park. The invitation used to come from one of the stewards, who was a friend of mine. His name was Ernest Giles. Oh, what do you think of the favourite for the Guineas, Giles?
I like it very much. I can't understand it.
Can't understand what?
The favourite, Gay Wastrel, was even money a week ago. Now it's 3-1. I think it's the class horse.
I hope you're right. I've backed it.
Well, we'll soon know. It's almost time for the off.
The white flags up and they're under staff's orders. They're coming into line now. It's a good line. No one's playing up. I don't think there'll be any trouble. And there goes the bell. Away to a flying start. Sublime is showing most of the running, followed by April Fool. Gay Wastrel, the favourite, is a handy third in the central course. Just behind her is Insulated. Insulator's making forward move. They've just reached the 3 furlong post. Insulator's taken over. The grey mare is sliding out really well. Gay Wastrel has moved up there too. Bracenless seems to be in trouble. Bracenless looks as though it won't take part in the race. Gray Wastrel has taken over. Just behind is Insulated. Still showing the rate deal running. Insulated striding out really well. Loverboy has come on the scene. Loverboy, but there's only a furlong to go, and it's still Gay Wastrel, followed by Insulated. Looks like a match between these two. No. Gay Wastrel is surging ahead. Gay Wastrel looks like winning it now. I don't think Insulated can catch her. Yes, it's Gay Wastrel. At least the link clear from Insulated with Loverboy third. There's no question about it. Gay Wastrel's favourite, a clear winner.
Well, did you back it?
I did. Rocked the bookmakers. I took 2-1 in £1 notes.
Well, don't let the money go to your head.
I won't.
I ought to go to the unsaddling and congratulate the owner. Care to come with me?
Glad to.
Congratulations, Scotty. Great win.
Oh, thank you, Bob. The great horse.
Meet my guest, Inspector Carr.
Oh, nice to meet you, Inspector. I've heard a great deal about you, of course.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Gay Wastrel's a great horse. I trust you're all coming to join me in a celebration. Drinks after the last race?
Delighted.
Here comes the owner of Insulated. Well done, Dawes, old boy. Ran a great race.
I thought I was going to beat you at one time, Scotty.
But you didn't, Dawes. Oh, by the way, Inspector Carr, meet Mr. Dawes.
Mr. Dawes?
Inspector.
Now, I've booked the tutor room at Claridge's for a celebration tonight, and you're all invited.
Strangely precipitant under the circumstances.
Are you coming, Inspector?
Thank you. For something like 100 years, it has been traditional that the winner of the guineas should give a banquet for the officials and others connected with the race. First, I joined the others in a victory drink in the steward's room, and then left the course. There were one or two things to clear up at the yard before my plans to spend a weekend of leisure. As it transpired, my plans went awry. Carr speaking.
Operations here, sir.
Oh, don't tell me. Look, I'm off for the weekend. My duty ends, or it will end, in about 3 minutes. I've just come back from the racing.
Well, sir, a man has been found stabbed to death at the Percy Simpson racing stables.
Percy? What the?
Yes, sir. Killed with a pitchfork, according to the local manor. A man called Scotty Bayliss.
But I was with him less than 2 hours ago. No peace for the wicked. You say stables. Are they near the course?
Well, sir, the call came through from Westerham. I've notified Dr. McPherson.
Right, get through to transport. Tell him to have a car waiting outside with a plan of how to get to the stable.
Right, sir.
It had been many years since I visited this small country town, which nestled at the foot of the hill known as the Widow. Very soon, we were driving through a gate which said, "Danger, horses exercising."
Inspector Carr?
Yes, that's right.
My name's Simpson. We've been told to expect you. It's all absolutely unbelievable.
Yes, I'm afraid murder always seems beyond the realms of reality. I understand that you found the body.
Well, it's all such a shock to see him lying there with a pitchfork in his back. Besides, he hadn't given me... I don't know what I'm going to do.
I realize this is a great shock for you, Mr. Simpson.
Well, it's more than that, Inspector. Mr. Bayliss said that if he won the race, he'd give me the stake money. That's 1,000 guineas. And now Well, I'm sorry if I sound so mercenary. We've been having a bad patch lately, and, well, I was banking on the money.
That's unfortunate. Is that the stable over there? Is that where the body was found?
Yes, there's a police doctor with the body.
Let's go over, shall we?
I know I shouldn't be talking about money with Mr. Bayliss lying there.
Hello, Doc.
Hello, Inspector.
Ah, is this where it happened, Mac?
I stabbed with a pitchfork from behind. I was stabbed at least a dozen times. It's quite horrible. The print men have been here.
Any luck?
No, nothing at all. You don't find any footprints in this turf.
And what about the time of his death?
It was pretty warm in that stable. I wouldn't have liked to hazard too close, I guess. I got here about half an hour ago. Let me see, that's 6:30. He's been dead about an hour. I would say that he was killed at 5:30 or thereabouts.
5:30, eh? I was having a drink with him at 3 o'clock.
You were now. Were you at the races?
Yes, and I backed the poor chap's horse. Oh, well, let's take a look at him. I inspected the stable. It became obvious that instead of housing animals, it was more of a place of storage. There, I saw sacks of forage, harness, saddles, and the like, and the lifeless body of Scotty Bayliss. It was difficult to resist a feeling of compassion for the man who but a few hours ago achieved one of the most cherished ambitions, to become the winner of the guineas, and yet not live to receive the tributes of the weekend newspapers. Oh, dear. Sad, isn't it?
Aye. Well, if it's all the same to you, I'll go over to Western Station to arrange for the removal of the body. There's nothing more I can do here.
Okay, Mac. See you back at the yard.
Aye, good day to you, Mr. Simpson.
Good day, Doctor. Have you got transport?
Aye, thank you. My car's at the other side of the stables.
All right, Mr. Simpson. I'm ready to take your statement. Oh, by the way, I saw you at the unsaddling, didn't I?
Yes, naturally.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's go from there, shall we? What did you do then?
Now, look here, Inspector. You don't think that I did it, do
Mr.
you?
Simpson, now, don't be alarmed. Everyone is suspect until we get to the killer. Now, after the unsaddling of Gay Wastrel, what did you do?
I came back here.
Immediately?
Yes. Mr. Bayliss asked me if I'd like to join him in a drink, but I always make it a golden rule to put my horses in the horse box and take them back to the stable as soon as possible. Well, after the way she ran, I knew Gay Wastrel would become favourite, the Silver Challenge Cup.
Mm-hmm. And what time did you get back here?
Oh, about 3 o'clock. It's only a 15-minute drive from the course. The race was over at 2:30.
Well, go on, and what happened?
Well, the usual. Ted, that's one of the grooms who drove the horse box, helped me to stable the girl. I took my car and drove home.
And what about the groom?
Well, he and his wife live in a cottage on my land.
Who was left behind?
No one. My house adjoins the stables. It's only 250 yards away. At 6 o'clock, I picked up Ted to feed the animals.
I see. Is that your car over there?
No, that belongs to Mr. Bayliss. I run that station wagon.
So it comes to this. The race was run at 2:15. The unsaddling took place about 2:30. You got back here by 3, stabled the animal, and left for home with your groom. Is that right?
Yes.
And you say that the last time you saw Mr. Bayliss alive is when the winner was being unsaddled.
I swear it.
Can you prove that you left the racecourse soon after the race?
Yes. The traffic cop on duty at the gate is a regular. He'll remember me.
What I can't understand, Mr. Simpson, is this. Why should the killer lure his victim here? Why the stables? Tell me, what about your groom?
Ted, Inspector? Oh, never. Mr. Bayliss had been very generous to Ted. We've had many owners in these stables, Mr. Dawes, Mr. Gilby. None of them have been as generous as Mr. Bayliss. Why should he want to kill him?
Somebody did. All right, don't look so alarmed. I don't think it's you. But I have a sneaking suspicion who that somebody is. Having reassured the trainer of Gay Wastrel that he was not number 1 on the list of suspects, I asked him to show me the layout of the place. A survey made it clear that the stable grounds were completely shut off from view. They could not be seen from either the main house or the groom's cottage. I decided to have a word with Ernest Giles, my host at the races.
I'll help you all I can, Carr, but it won't be much.
How well did you know Bayliss? Did you know him very well?
I wouldn't say very well. I liked the man. We rarely met outside the racecourse.
What I'm trying to find out is whether this murder is a gambling killing or not. All we know about Mr. Bayliss is that he's the owner of a fairly successful boot factory. He's a bachelor, and he owns half a dozen horses trained by Simpson.
In which case, you know as much as I do.
See. I understand that you, as the architect, were responsible for some of the extensions at Sandown.
Yes, I was.
Now, what I'm trying to find out is the possibility of going from Sandown Racecourse to Westerham, avoiding any of the main gates or roads.
Well, that's easily answered. Come over here, Inspector. Now, there's your map of Sandown.
Yes.
Now, up here to the northeast is Westerham, and there are quite a number of the trainers are there. You see it's only 7 miles away. Now, a car would leave the racecourse through this opening here between the trees.
Yes.
Cut through this ground, be a bit bumpy, but easy to do. And that would take one onto the old dirt road. Good heavens, yes. That way, one would come out by Simpson's racing stables.
That's interesting. Very interesting. Now, supposing you had to go to Simpson's stables, is that the route you'd take?
Almost certainly. It cuts off about 4 miles. Imagine the traffic after a Saturday afternoon's racing. One took the main road.
Yet Simpson... Oh, I see. Simpson wouldn't want to drive his horse box over that bumpy road.
No, of course not. Not with an expensive animal like Gay Wastrel in the box. Now, I come to think of it, I remember Bayliss asking me to look at a yearling he'd bought at a sale. We left the racecourse and took that old road.
Oh, it gives us a lead, but also a headache.
Oh, why?
Well, our highly efficient X-branch will have to check on the movements of a lot of people. People who left the racecourse.
Including me.
Including you, Giles. No, but quite seriously. Whoever did this thing will be concerned to establish his alibi. What about the winning jockey, for instance?
Leatherby?
Yeah.
I saw him leave with Bayliss.
You did you? What time was that?
Well, you were there, Inspector. Oh, no. You left a few minutes before. Soon after we all toasted the winner in the steward's room.
And you say the jockey left with Bayliss?
Yes. Listen, Inspector, I don't know what you're thinking, but Leatherby used to ride for me when he was an apprentice. I'd stake my reputation on the fact that there's no straighter jockey racing.
Oh, you may be right, Giles, but Bayliss left about 3, and he's found dead 2.5 hours later. Now, I'm going to have a word with Leatherby.
Mr. Bayliss? I don't know anything about the boss's death. Why question me?
Because I'm hoping that Mr. Bayliss did or said something in your presence which could give me a lead. You would want the murderer caught, wouldn't you?
Oh, yes, of course.
You didn't say that with any conviction.
Well, listen, Governor. I don't know why you've come to see me, but I don't know anything about it, see? Well, I hardly knew the gent. This is the first time I rode for him.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it is. The trainer, Mr. Simpson, booked me for the ride.
He did he? I understand that after the unsaddling and the awarding of the cup and the drinks in the steward's room, you and Mr. Bayliss left together, is that right?
That's right, Inspector. It wasn't long after you left. I remember you going.
What time was that?
Oh, I'm not sure. About 3:30, I suppose.
Where'd you both go to?
Well, I had no more riding engagements that day. Mr. Bayliss told me that if I won, he'd have a nice present for me. He said he'd meet me at the members' lounge. Well, when he saw me ready to go after the steward's drink, he said, "I'll come with you." Well, he came with me to the members' lounge. There was no one there, and he said, "I'm glad we'd settled our differences." And gave me a cheque for 200 quid for winning the race.
Differences? What differences?
Well, that's something rather personal.
Don't be a fool, Leatherby. He's been murdered, don't you understand? You're involved.
Now, wait a minute. You don't think that
All I say is, just be completely frank with me. What were the differences about?
Well, sir, I was offered the mount on insulated. I was about to accept when Mr. Simpson said that Mr. Bayliss would like me to ride Gay Wastrel.
Go on.
Well, sir, I knew the breeding of Gay Wastrel. I knew she'd had the beating of every other horse, so I agreed to ride the filly. And Mr. Bayliss seemed very pleased. He said to me, "I want you to win that race."
I want you to win that race more than anything in the world. I've never had a big win. Look, if you're first past the post, there'll be an additional 200 for you.
Whew, thank you, sir. If she's anything like Mr. Simpson says she is, she'll win easily, sir. I believe she broke the course record in her trial gallop.
Ah, that's quite true. I'm glad you're taking them out. Very pleased indeed. They tell me that you know the course better than any other jockey. That's a very tricky man at the fore, you know.
I know it, sir. But I'll win, don't you worry.
I see. But you said there were differences.
Yes, sir.
Well, speak up. What were they?
Well, sir, I don't like to tell tales about the dead.
What were they? Come on, out with it.
Well, Inspector, about a week ago, Mr. Bayliss sent for me.
Weatherby, I've been hearing some disconcerting rumours concerning Mr. Dawes' filly insulated. They say she's developed a sensational turn of speed.
Oh, don't you worry about that, sir. They're a different class. Well, there's nothing in Insulated's breeding that comes anywhere near her.
Supposing I told you it would be worth £1,000 to you if you didn't win the guineas.
Are you asking me to pull her up? I've never pulled an horse in my life, Mr. Bayliss, and I never will.
You see, I'm in somewhat of a spot. Oh, the devil take him. Are you sure? Are you sure as Simpson that Gay Wastrel has the beating of the others, even insulated?
Yes, sir, I'm sure. I'm absolutely positive. Of course, if there's heavy rains...
All right. Just forget what I've said. You go in there and win.
That's all I meant, sir. Although he asked me to pull the race in the beginning, he turned out to be a true gentleman after all.
So you got your cheque for £200 as a reward for winning on Gay Wastrel?
Yes, sir.
And then what happened?
Well, as I say, we were in the members' lounge.
Another drink, Weatherby?
No, thank you, sir. Got to watch me weight, you know.
Excuse me, Mr. Bayliss.
Aye, what is it?
You want it on the phone, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Excuse me, Weatherby.
Oh, thanks for the tip. £2 on it.
Oh, glad you won. I had quite a few quid on her myself. So I can't understand why she started at such a good price. There must have been a fortune on Insulated.
Oh, there was. Ginger Jack, who puts for Mr. Dawes, said he himself put £1,000 on Insulated at 5 to 1.
I knew I had the measure of Insulated. As soon as I called on Gay Wastrel, I could have won by 3 lengths, even more.
Yeah, I'm afraid I've got to go. I'm wanted rather urgently. Oh, Stewart here. Here's a wee celebration for you, too.
Thank you very much, sir.
I'll see you at the Tudor room tonight, Weatherby. With your wife, of course.
Thank you very much, sir. Walked out and I never saw him again.
I see. He didn't tell you where he was going or who he was going to meet?
No, sir, he didn't.
Everything that I'd gleaned so far confirmed my suspicions. I decided to put off questioning the man I suspected of the murder until all the other ends were tied up. I had another word with the helpful Mr. Giles. Giles, I understand it's a rigid rule that no outside telephone calls can be connected to members or even owners other than extremely urgent ones.
Yes, that's right. If a doctor's wanted urgently or someone attending the race meeting has a relative who's met with a serious accident, then they're the exception to the rule.
Well, then what happens? Do you put the call through to wherever they may be on the course?
Oh, no, that lends itself to a lot of abuses, particularly racing malpractices, you know. No one's allowed to talk racing on the telephone.
But Leatherby tells me that Bayliss received a telephone call whilst they were drinking in the members' lounge after the race.
And it must have been an internal call. That's allowed.
Oh. Is that easily checked?
Oh, yes. We're not on a dialing system, you know.
Does that mean that anyone on the course can telephone anyone else on the course?
Oh, good heavens, no. As a matter of fact, it's a privilege afforded to us, stewards, owners, and such like.
What's the procedure?
Well, one goes along to the switchboard, which is at the back of the general office, and asks the favour of being put through to the weighing room, the members' lounge, and so on.
Used much?
Oh, no. As I say, we don't like to encourage this sort of thing. But if you want to find out any more about that, Mr. Godley was on duty. He'd have taken the telephone request.
I see. Thanks, Giles.
Now, how's the investigation going?
Fine. With a bit of luck, the case will be closed within a matter of hours. Come in. Ah, Sergeant Smith.
You're right, sir.
This fellow Godley remembers Mr. Dawes asking him to raise Mr. Bayliss in the members' lounge. He says that Dawes spoke to Bayliss for quite a while, and this fellow Godley remembers him well, because he gave him a 10-bob tip.
Ah, for once generosity will contribute to the hanging of a man. And what about the car park attendant?
The attendant says that Dawes took his car out of the owner's hangar at about 4:20 and left by the north gate. That leads onto the old road.
And that leads to Simpson's stables, right? We've got enough. Ask Mr. Dawes to come and see me.
Right, sir.
Dawes was summoned for 2:30 the following afternoon. In the meantime, X-Branch and operations were getting out all they could. Within a few hours, our informers and special agents had unearthed very interesting pieces of information. There's no doubt that using intermediaries in the underworld and those in gambling circles, Dawes had attempted to bring off a gambling coup. He'd wagered thousands. Had Gay Wastrel lost and Insulated won, his gain would have been astronomical. Had Bayliss double-crossed him? I was soon to know.
I don't know why you sent for me, Inspector.
Oh, I'm checking on everyone's movements. Where were you at 5:30, the time when Bayliss was killed?
Well, you know as well as I do that the last race wasn't run until 5:20. It was on the race course.
Can you prove it? Were you with anybody?
Inspector, you obviously know nothing about racing. All of us are lone wolves. We occasionally have a drink with each other. There were over 60,000 people on the race course. And do you expect me to produce them all as alibis?
You swear you never left the course?
Could you imagine I would, with the last race not yet run?
Why did you telephone Bayliss?
What do you mean?
And why did you take your car out at 4:20?
Who
and
said
why
so?
haven't you paid your debts? You lost a lot of money on Insulated, didn't you?
Well, that's my affair.
So he double-crossed you on Gay Wastrel, eh? Didn't you think for one moment that the reason he decided to run the race straight was that he had a conscience? That he might report you to the Jockey Club?
Report me? You must be mad. It was his idea. He got me to put a fortune on Insulated so that he could get the generous odds of 2-1 on his own filly.
What a dirty trick.
Yes. The respectable Mr. Bayliss. Why,
Are you confessing, Mr. Dawes? Because if you are, I must warn you that He didn't confess then, but he did later. There's no doubt that his allegations were correct. What Leatherby regarded as a change of heart in the owner of Gay Wastrel was really a change of approach. Bayliss realized that with Dawes and his gambling promise plunging all the money on Insulated, he would get very good odds on his own horse, and that would pay him to run the race straight. A nice piece of double-cross that cost him his life. Dawes gave me a semblance of a clue soon after the race. Do you remember how he gave himself away? Well, listen to the commercial, and I'll be back to tell you. Well, what was it that Dawes said that registered with me to the extent that I felt he was involved? It was this. After the unsaddling, Scotty said,
I'll book the Tudor room at Claridge's for a celebration tonight. You're all invited.
Strangely precipitate under the circumstances.
Why strangely precipitate under the circumstances? Surely, as a favourite, he anticipated he was going to win and made arrangements accordingly. Unless he was not supposed to anticipate a win. So I found Mr. Dawes's remarks strange under those circumstances. And the moral, racehorse owners never interfere with a jockey riding lest you get pitchforked into trouble. Good night.
The Epic Casebook was produced by Michael Silver for the makers of Epic Pure Sunflower Oil, Maple Margarine, Yum Yum Peanut Butter, and Niblets Cheese Twists, with Hugh Rouse as Inspector Carr. Listen again next Thursday night at 9:30 to another exciting story from our Epic Casebook.
Große Sophie Tafel.
The makers of Epic Pure Sunflower Oil, Purine and Pret Cooking Fat, Yum Yum Peanut Butter, Maple Margarine, and Niblets Cheese Twists present the Epic Casebook. In which Inspector Carr investigates.
Good evening. The other day, I attended a neighbor's party given for their teenage daughter. And they decided to make me sing for my supper. At first, we played a straightforward game of charades, and then, with knowing glances at each other, the de Villiers family shouted in unison, "Let's play cops and robbers." Actually, it proved a salutary exercise, because we changed it from cops and robbers to the investigation of a hypothetical murder. And very soon I was explaining to the guests the sequence of such investigations, pointing out that when it's not obvious, we first have to determine method. In other words, how the murderer killed his victim. And then comes another M, the second. It's for motive. You've all noticed how important that is in any investigation. Who stood to gain most by the victim's death? Was it an act of revenge, frustrated passion? But both these M's, if you like, are irrevocably linked with the most important M of all. Yes, of course, the murderer himself. Now, that seems to be stressing the obvious, yet a good detective will not only concern himself with the identity of the killer, but will want to know every characteristic the culprit possesses. So you see, all these factors are interdependent. However, I explained to my friends and their guests that unless one is on one's guard, an overabundance of motives or a seeming confusion as to method can result in the final analysis in the concealing and not the revealing of the third M, the murderer. In fact, that's what happened to me in the story I'm about to tell you tonight, which I've called Murder in the Bag. I've never understood why authors, specializing in crime stories, find it necessary to paint word pictures of country policemen in grotesque colors. I suppose describing them as buffoons highlights the brilliance of the author's central character, the man who succeeds where the police have failed. They should have met Sergeant Barnes in charge of the Dewhurst police station.
I've got all the facts and statements for you, sir.
Thanks, Sergeant. All I got from operations was the fact that a farmer called Ferguson was murdered last night when he was returning from a party in the company of a Mr. Flynn. Time about midnight.
It was right, sir. It was Mr. Flynn who telephoned for the ambulance, sir. But Ferguson was dead by the time he got to the hospital.
Ferguson was shot, correct?
Yeah, correct, sir.
All right, Sergeant. Let's have it all. By all, I mean, I think you'd better set the scene for me. I see you've drawn me a map.
Sure.
If you'd please set it for me verbally, I'd be grateful. It'll save time, too. More than that, I want all the characters concerned. Can do?
Well, I'll never try, sir. Well, let us start with a small church just beyond the village, on the way to Chipping Sudbury.
Right.
Now, just beyond it, separated from the churchyard by a narrow lane, is an old farmhouse. And as you walk up the lane from the gate, there's a hedge on each side. Now, the left side bounds the churchyard, and the right side encloses a field that's owned by Dick Spence.
Yeah?
Now, at the top, the lane turns sharp right behind the field. 100 yards further on is the farmhouse, a Greystone Farm. That's owned by the late Tom Ferguson.
You're doing fine, Sergeant. Ferguson's the man who was shot, yes?
Yes, that's right, sir. There are 2 other occupants of Greystone, Mrs. Vera Hammond and her son, Robert, 20. Now, she was a Ferguson before she married. Tom was her nephew. The farm had originally belonged to her brother, but when he died, Tom inherited it.
And what about Mrs. Hammond?
He left her there a penny. Widow. She moved in with her son. That's Robert. And she's been there ever since.
Mm-hmm. Had Tom Ferguson any girlfriends?
Yes, named Evelyn Todd. From a neighboring farm, 20-year-old redhead. In fact, they were engaged to be married.
I see. They would have made Greystone their home. And Mrs. Hammond would have had to have left, right?
That's right, sir.
Oh, well, let's get on with what happened last night.
Well, sir, Ferguson left Greystone about 6:30 to visit his fiancée. There was a party of some sort at Todd's farm. Robert was invited, but he didn't go. The party broke up about midnight, and Tom walked a half-mile back in the company of Ted Flynn, one of his close friends. Now, when they reached the gate to the entrance to the lane, they said goodnight to each other, and Ted continued on down the road. Now, he just got round the corner, when a shot rang out. He doubled back, and he found Tom Ferguson lying unconscious in the road. He phoned for an ambulance from the church, which arrived together with Dr. Ritchie and Sergeant Tracy. As you know, sir, by the time Ferguson reached the hospital, he was dead.
And who have you questioned, Sergeant?
No, only Flynn gave a first-hand account of what had happened.
Have you the necessary search warrant?
Yes, I got it right here, sir.
Good. I think I'll call on Miss Evelyn Todd for a start. I'd like to know a little more about Tom Ferguson before I tackle the Hammonds. Oh, by the way, they know about Ferguson's death, huh?
Yes, Inspector. They were informed first thing this morning.
Fine. Let's go to Todd Farm. Sergeant Barnes and I drove to Todd Farm, which lay just beyond Greystone. As we passed the homestead of the late Mr. Ferguson, I couldn't help being struck by its bleak contrast to the surrounding countryside. The farmhouse stood gaunt, forbidding, its dark, shuttered windows seeming to enclose a multitude of secrets. On the other hand, Todd Farm proved to be a charming cottage, nestling in an old English rose garden, flanked on both sides by orchards. The door was opened by a young girl with a wealth of flaming red hair. She would have been quite beautiful, but for the dark rings under her eyes, the only outward evidence of her grief.
Can I help you? Oh, hello, Sergeant.
Sorry to disturb you. Miss Evelyn Todd?
That's right.
My name's Inspector Carr, New Scotland Yard. Can we come in for a moment?
Well, my father's out. I'm afraid there's no one at home.
I'd just like to talk to you for a little, Miss Todd, if you don't mind.
Yes, well, please come inside.
Thank you.
Now, what can I do for you? Is it about Tom?
Yes.
I don't think I could bear it.
Look, I quite understand. I won't keep you long. Just a few questions, then we'll go.
Very well.
Well, first of all, what time did you last see your fiancé alive, Miss Todd?
At about 11:45. He left with Ted Flynn.
Were they the last to leave the party?
Just about. The Elliots were still there. They're friends of my father's. They left about half an hour afterwards.
That was the last time you saw your fiancé?
Are these questions necessary?
I'm afraid so, Miss Todd. Now, tell me, how well did you know the Hammonds?
Well enough. Perhaps too well.
What do you mean?
I'll be frank with you, Inspector. Mrs. Hammond did everything she could to prevent my engagement to her nephew.
Prevent? How?
I suppose it wasn't very pleasant for a woman twice my age to be ousted from her home by a mere chit of a girl. That's how she describes me. But she chose a rather mean way of showing her feelings. Inspector, for the last 3 months, I've been deluged with poison pen cards, all in the same handwriting. After a while, I showed one to Tom. He recognized the handwriting immediately. His aunt, Mrs. Hammond, wrote it.
Have you kept any of these postcards?
How many do you want? 20? 30? They're all in the desk here. There you are. Take your pick.
Well, these will do. Thank you, Miss Todd. Now, what were your fiancé's reactions?
He was absolutely furious. He and his aunt had a terrible row.
And did the cards stop?
For a while, yes. But they started coming again about a week before.
All right, Miss Todd, I won't keep you much longer. Are there any other incidents that you can recall about Mrs. Hammond?
No, I don't think so. Oh, wait a bit, yes. It was only yesterday afternoon. Robert, Mrs. Hammond's son, came over to say that he couldn't come to the party.
Did he give any reason?
Yes. His charming mother had forbidden him to come.
I'm sorry, but Mum's in an awful mood. We had a bit of a row, actually.
Oh, Robert.
I said she couldn't stop me, and then she went into a long tirade about how she'd worked her fingers to the bone for me, put me through school, and just when everything was turning out okay, well...
Go on.
Well, she said that you and Tom were about to kick us out, that you schemed the whole thing between you, and it was a dirty trick. I'm sorry. You know I don't...
I know. Why don't you come anyway?
I can't. I wish I could, Eve. You know. I'd do anything for you, but it isn't worth it. I've got to live with her.
All right, Bobby. I understand. He was almost in tears. Inspector, she's a wicked woman. If it hadn't been for her...
Thank you, Miss Todd. I think that's all. Accompanied by Sergeant Barnes, I made for the scene of the crime. We reached the gate that stood at the entrance of the lane, and Sergeant Barnes pointed out the spot marked X.
There you are, sir. He collapsed just here at the foot of the left gate post.
Uh-huh. How many shots were fired?
Just the one, sir.
The surgeon reported that Ferguson died of gunshot wounds in the abdomen.
Yes, that's right, sir.
Well, let's reconstruct the scene, Sergeant. Now, Ferguson says good night to Flynn. He turns towards the gate, and a shot rings out. So it's highly unlikely that he was shot from the road itself.
That's right, sir.
Now, if he was found by the left-hand post, it stands to reason that he couldn't have been shot from the area of the churchyard. The angle's too acute. No, my guess is that he was shot from the other side, from that field to the right.
Dick Spencer's field.
Sergeant, supposing you wanted to ambush a man at dead of night, knowing that he was coming from the direction of Todd's farm.
All right. I'd whip into Dick Spencer's field, no doubt about that.
And?
Well, I reckon I'd hide behind the edge. That way I wouldn't be seen.
Yeah, but the hedge is at least 2 feet thick.
Then I'd cut a hole in it, sir.
Elementary, my dear Barnes. Right. Let's see if there is one.
Mind the bank, sir. It's slippery.
Yes, it is. Had rained recently.
A couple of days ago, sir. It come down in buckets.
None last night, though, eh?
No, sir, no.
Hello. What have we here?
What's that, sir?
The cartridge case. I'll wager my non-existent bowler hat it was fired from a single-barreled shotgun.
Looks like it, Inspector. I put in my handkerchief.
There it is, Sergeant. The hole in the hedge.
Well,
It's obviously been made for a purpose. Let's have a look. Perfect. See for yourself.
You're right, sir. I can see the gate clearly. The road beyond. Why, look here, sir. The grass has been crushed. And here, sir, there's skid marks. The killer probably lost his footing.
As Sergeant Barnes pointed to the telltale evidence, a vivid picture began to form in my mind. The murderer waiting grimly for Ferguson's return, the glinting gun barrel pointing through the hole in the hedge, the finger poised on the trigger, and then, as the intended victim opens the gate, the fatal squeeze. It seemed that a visit to Mrs. Hammond would prove illuminating.
Don't see how I can help you, Inspector.
It won't take up much of your time, Mrs. Hammond. Have you ever seen these postcards before?
No, let me see. No. How appalling.
Evelyn Todd says they were written by you.
Well, they're lying.
Mrs. Hammond, it won't be very difficult to trace the author. Save a lot of time if you told the truth.
All right. Yes, I wrote them. She deserved it. A cheap little... Inspector, we've lived together 2 years. When my husband died, I was left without any means of support. Tom Ferguson invited my son and I to live here. And about 6 months ago, he told us to leave, just like that, to pack my bag and get out. I brought the boy up when my brother died. Don't you think I deserve better treatment?
It's not for me to judge, Mrs. Hammond. Sending poison pen postcards can never be justified.
But she didn't love Tom, Inspector. She was out for his money.
Tom Ferguson inherited everything when his father died, yes?
Yes.
Do you possess a shotgun, Mrs. Hammond?
No. Inspector, what would I want with a shotgun?
You sure, Mrs. Hammond?
Look, Inspector, I didn't shoot Tom.
Ferguson was killed with a single-barreled shotgun. Find the gun, and I found the murderer. Do you mind if we look over the house, Mrs. Hammond?
Is that
I
necessary?
have a search warrant.
Well, I suppose I can't stop you. You won't find a gun, yeah?
But we did. Single-barreled shotgun. In the drawer of an old Victorian roll-top desk, we found a package of cartridges, identical with the one discovered at the scene of the crime. In another drawer, we found a pile of unused postcards, replicas of those received by Edith Todd. The gun was subsequently checked for fingerprints. The only prints to be found were those of Mrs. Hammond. I decided to arrest her. Mrs. Hammond, I must warn you that anything you say will be taken down in writing and may be used in evidence against you. It would seem that the investigation was over, apart from some loose ends that had to be tied up. Mrs. Hammond for trial. One thing that became particularly important, the term Harold Ferguson's will. I visited Messrs. Carr and Bradshaw. Mr. Bradshaw himself received me, a Donish-looking old man with the air of a patient secretary bird.
Good morning, Inspector Carr. Sit down, please. A cigarette?
No, thanks. Mr. Bradshaw, I understand you drew up Mr. Harold Ferguson's last will.
That is correct.
And in terms of that will, everything was left to Tom Ferguson?
Quite right, Inspector. Tom was an only child, the apple of his father's eye.
Yes.
The estate and all monies accruing were left to him in perpetuity.
But if he didn't marry...
Then the estate would pass to his nephew, Robert Hammond, on the condition that he should marry.
Yeah.
In the event of Tom's death before Robert was 21, the estate was to be held in trust until the latter became of age.
And to take it to its logical conclusion, if Robert died, then the estate would have passed on to Mrs. Hammond.
Oh, no, not at all, Inspector.
What? Are there any other relations?
Yes, one. It seems that young Ted Flynn is a distant cousin of the Fergusons on his mother's side. Both the parents are dead, poor boy. And in the event of Robert's death, Harold Ferguson expressly wished that everything should go to him.
I see. That must have been one in the eye for Mrs. Hammond.
It was, Inspector, as you put it, one in the eye for the poor woman. She was quite upset about it. Tried to get the will altered after Harold's death, in her favor, of course, but she didn't succeed.
And Mrs. Hammond, as it turned out, stood to gain nothing, except through her son.
Correct, Inspector. There was no love lost between Harold and his sister. Temperamentally, they were poles apart.
Huh?
Harold was a swashbuckler, an adventurer, with a lust for life. Puritanical Mrs. Hammond thoroughly disapproved of him.
You knew him well?
Oh, knew him and liked him. In fact, over the years, I got to know the whole family. I've always prided myself on judgment of character, Inspector.
How did Mrs. Hammond get on with her nephew, Tom?
Quite well until recently. Trouble over Tom's impending marriage. Mrs. Hammond would, of course, have to move out.
Yes, I know. Tell me, Mr. Bradshaw, was the will signed and witnessed in the presence of all concerned?
Yes. Old Ferguson called them all together in this very room.
I see. So they were all acquainted with the terms of the will?
Quite so, Inspector.
Well, thank you. I'm most grateful for all your help. Yet, as I stepped out of Mr. Bradshaw's office, I felt distinctly uneasy. I had considered the case as a closed book. It had all been so easy. Too easy. And I now had the disconcerting feeling that I was being led by the nose. There were several who had a motive for the murder. The longer I thought, the unhappier I became. Mrs. Hammond's motive for killing her nephew was that her son would inherit. But all the evidence showed that her animosity was directed against Evelyn Todd, not against Tom Ferguson. After all, she brought the boy up. No, there was something wrong somewhere. If only I could put my finger on it. I went in search of Sergeant Barnes. Got a car handy, Sergeant?
Yes, sir. Where do you want to go?
To the home of Mr. Ted Flynn.
So, everything is over bar the shouting, is it, Inspector?
Not quite, Mr. Flynn. Still one or two things to check. You say that on Saturday night, the night Mr. Ferguson was shot, you left the Todd's farm at 11:45, walked back with Ferguson to Greyston. You left him at the gate, continued on. When you heard the shot, you ran back, and Ferguson was unconscious in the road.
That's about it.
Now, think carefully, Mr. Flynn. Is there anything else that struck you at the time? Anything, however trivial?
Nothing at all, Inspector. I've told you everything I know.
Did you see Tom Fergus Saturday morning or afternoon?
As a matter of fact, I did, Inspector. I popped round about 11 o'clock. Mrs. Hammond and Robert were on their way out to do some shopping in town. Tom was in the garage fixing a plough. I gave him a hand for about an hour, and then I left.
Mrs. Hammond and her son not returned?
Not that I know of.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. You've been most helpful. I'd be unhappy task to call on her son. I'm sorry to disturb you, Mr. Hammond.
Well, get it over with, Inspector. You've arrested my mother for murder. What more do you want?
Mr. Hammond, I'm only doing my duty, and I promise you I don't like it any more than you do.
Well, please come to the point. Do you want to arrest me, too?
No, I don't. I want to ask you a few brief questions.
Well?
Last Saturday morning, Mr. Flynn came to see your cousin. You were on your way to town, I understand.
What's this got to do with the price of eggs?
Please, Mr. Hammond, just answer my question.
Yes, he did come round. Met me as we were going out of the front door.
Did he say anything to you?
Not that I can remember. Oh, yes. He said to borrow Tom's golf clubs.
And that was all?
Look, Inspector, Ted Flynn didn't get on very well with Mother and I. He was Tom's friend, not ours. I told him Tom was in the garage, and that was all.
Thank you. Now, did you see Mr. Flynn again?
What is all this? I've told you he wasn't exactly a bosom friend of mine.
Please be patient. I've nearly finished. Did you see him again?
No, I didn't.
Thank you. Now, one last thing, Mr. Hammond. What time did you hear of your cousin's death?
In the early hours of Sunday morning. As a matter of fact, Ted phoned, told us what had happened.
What did he say?
Well, he said that although he had identified the body, the police would require my mother or me to make an official identification.
Did you?
Yes, we went down to the mortuary on Sunday morning. That's really all I can tell you, Inspector. Now, if you don't mind...
Just before I go, I'd like to look over the house once again. I'm looking for something. I sincerely hope to find it. I did. I found what I was looking for. It was in Tom Ferguson's study. I now knew who had killed him. Sergeant Barnes and I raced back to police headquarters in Dewhurst. Sergeant, issue a writ to have Mrs. Hammond released immediately and then have a car outside the front door. Have you got a gun?
Yes, sir.
All right, now get cracking. We've just one more call to make. We're calling on Edward Flynn. Edward Flynn, I'm arresting you for the murder of Thomas Ferguson. I must warn you that anything you say may be used in evidence against you.
Arresting me? Nonsense. Exactly on what ground?
I'll tell you. You planned to kill Tom Ferguson a long time ago, but you had to wait for the right moment. About 3 months ago, Mrs. Hammond started writing poison pen postcards to Evelyn Todd. When Tom found out, he was furious. Knowing this, and knowing that Tom wanted the Hammonds to move from the house, you...
What? And kill my best friend because I wanted Tom to evict his aunt?
I haven't finished yet. There's the will. You were present when it was signed. You knew that with Tom Ferguson and his cousin out of the way, the inheritance would be yours.
You must be out of your mind, Inspector. I would hardly have walked down with Tom carrying a shotgun under my arm.
That's why you were so fiendishly clever. You planted that shotgun, already loaded, behind the hedge on Saturday morning or afternoon.
What did I do, Inspector? Jump over the edge and say, hang on a moment, Tom, hold still, I want to shoot you.
Not a bit of it. When you left the Todd's farm, you told Tom you were in a hurry to get home. You then said good night and ran on ahead. You had ample time to position yourself behind the hole you made that day. You shot him as he came up to the gate and then sprinted home, hiding the gun, and phoned for an ambulance. Although he wasn't dead, luckily enough for you, he died on the way to hospital.
Inspector Carr, this is crazy. The gun didn't even belong to me. What do you think I did? Strolled over to Greyston and placed it under the mattress?
Who told you it was under the mattress?
Why, Robert, I think.
Robert, eh? He knew because Mrs. Hammond had found the gun and questioned her son about it. But he swears that the only conversation he has had with you is when you telephoned him with the grim news that Tom was dead. And that was before you had time to return the gun.
Inspector, you can't prove anything.
Can't I? Edward Flynn, I'm arresting you on a charge of murder.
You sure you got the right one, sir?
Sergeant, I'm as sure as I'm standing here.
But don't look so worried, Sergeant. Well, I can't help it, sir. Why didn't Mrs. Hammond say anything when you arrested her? She didn't deny her guilt.
Because she thought that her son had killed Ferguson. What else could she think when I found the gun under the mattress? Or you did, to be more accurate. She's got a lot of courage, that woman. She must love her son dearly. Oh, come on, Sergeant. Now what's troubling you?
Well, I still don't know how you tumbled Flynn.
Don't you? You should. And so should you, listeners. Do you know what clue convinced me that Flynn was the killer? Not sure? Well, listen to the commercial, and I'll be back to tell you. Well, what was the clue? After all, there were three suspects, Mrs. Hammond, her son, and Edward Flynn. But what made me so sure that Flynn was the murderer? Well, it was this. If you remember, I asked Robert Hammond if Flynn had said anything to him on Saturday morning. He replied,
"Not that I can remember. Oh, yes, he said something about coming to borrow Tom's golf clubs."
Tom's golf clubs. That explained everything. What better place to house a shotgun than a golf club bag? Tom readily agreed to lend him them. And it would have been easy for Flynn to drop the shotgun inside while Ferguson was working in the garage. As Tom's best friend, he obviously knew where to find it. My suspicions were confirmed when Robert said that he and his mother had gone down on Sunday morning to identify the body, a perfect opportunity to return the clubs and deposit the gun under the mattress, hoping that mother and son would be arrested for the crime so that the inheritance would then be his, Ted Flynn's. That was what I was looking for in Tom Ferguson's study. The golf club bag. Oh, the moral of the story? If you must lend your golf clubs to a friend, make sure he's shooting for a birdie, not a body. Good night.
The Epic Casebook was produced by Michael Silver for the makers of Epic Pure Sunflower Oil, Maple Margarine, Yum Yum Peanut Butter, and Niblets Cheese Twists, with Hugh Rouse as Inspector Carr. Listen again next Thursday night at 9:30 to another exciting story from our Epic Casebook.
Großes Sophie-Tafel.
The makers of Epic Pure Sunflower Oil, Purine and Pret Cooking Fat, Yum Yum Peanut Butter, Maple Margarine, and Niblets Cheese Twists present the Epic Casebook. In which Inspector Carr investigates.
Good evening. I remember when I was a young sergeant, keeping more regular hours than I did when I became an inspector, wondering about a shriveled old lady I used to see walking down Vine Street during the winter months. As she would clutch her faded finery against the cold wind, a single ostrich feather would droop from a ridiculous little hat kept on top of her head by means of a hat pin. It seemed intent on tickling her nostril, and now and again she would make abortive efforts to push the feather back in its place. Her shoes were cracked and down at heel, and her hands, blue with cold, would clutch at a shawl that had seen better days. Being young, I began to conjure up fanciful pictures about her,
A poor, lonely old woman making for the nearest public house in order to purchase a few coppers' worth of cheap red biddy. Every weeknight, as I emerged from the police station promptly at 6, from November through to the end of January, she would be walking towards me. My curiosity became so great that I wanted to speak to her or press a 10-shilling note into her palm. Luckily, I desisted. One day, I saw a picture of her in the newspaper. It told of her death and funeral, attended by over 900 scientists and research workers from all over the world. She was Professor Mary Sharpleton, and her research and books in the field of genetics is still required reading. She used to come to London to attend the Royal Society lectures during its winter term. A woman oblivious of self, dedicated to the cause of humanity. Ever since then, I've marveled at the devotion and single-mindedness of scientists and sociologists. I mention this because my story tonight concerns the murder of Professor Gustav Schultz. I've called my story The Antithesis of Life.
What are you eating?
Peanut butter sandwich. I haven't enjoyed one like this since I was a kid.
Well, they didn't have yum-yum when you were a kid.
What's the diff? Peanut butter's peanut butter.
There is a difference. I can't bear peanut butter to stick to the roof of my mouth, and yum-yum doesn't. It's extra creamy all the way down the jar.
Too smooth. Well, it's been a long time, and I must say it's very nice.
Yum-Yum has changed peanut butter since most of us were kids. Smooth and creamy from the first pat to the last bit at the bottom of the jar. No wonder little boys, and dads too, enjoy scooping it out by the fingerful.
Kids today have everything better, don't they?
And there's a 4-cents off deal on Yum-Yum peanut butter at all stores.
Yippee! Hey, Mom, why don't you buy me some Yum-Yum tomorrow?
At the time he met his death, Professor Schultz was reading a paper at the Royal Society on the relationship between ancient taboos and modern biochemical developments.
And so it will be seen that when Freud wrote his book Totems and Taboos, he was so preoccupied with the id and the subconscious that he failed to take into consideration the ever-changing chemical structures within the human psyche. Excuse me, please.
Oh, here, let me do it for you, Professor. There we are.
Dankeschön.
Good heavens, the professor seems to have suffered a heart attack.
But it was not a heart attack in the accepted medical sense. His heart gave out all right. Professor Schultz died from swallowing a lethal dose of poison. Professor Wilson, who presided over the proceedings, realized what had happened almost immediately. He communicated with the police. His was the solitary figure as I arrived at the hall. Inspector Carr, Scotland Yard.
Oh, thank goodness you're here. I didn't know what to do for the best. Poor Schultz. I decided to send everyone back to their place of residence. There are 75 delegates attending this Congress, most of them from overseas. I did not convey to them my suspicions that Professor Schultz had been murdered. I thought it prudent to be equivocal. So please, gentlemen, do not come forward. As you can see, Professor Schultz has been taken seriously ill. Now, there are only 5 more pages to his thesis. Copies of his paper will be distributed to you all at tomorrow morning's session. Professor Marchbanks, would you please give me a hand? As you'll see, Professor Schultz is slightly built. Marchbanks and I had no difficulty in carrying his body to the antechamber.
According to the statement you gave over the telephone, you say that this gentleman sipped at a glass of water and slumped forward.
There were immediate symptoms that the water contained poison?
Oh, no question about it. As you'll see when you look at the body, it was fortunate that the platform is some 8 feet away from the first row of seats.
Why fortunate, Professor?
The delegates could not see Schultz's face as he slumped forward. It might have caused some sort of panic.
Oh.
Certainly the fact that a murder has been committed at the Royal Society and that the victim was the eminent Professor Gustav Schultz would have been broadcast all over the world.
If you're correct in your diagnosis, and I would not question it for 1 second, Professor Wilson, the Society is in for a spate of publicity. I mean, it isn't often that murder
That's just it, Inspector. Does the news of the murder have to leak out?
These things can never be kept secret.
Professor Marchbanks is at this very moment telephoning Germany, notifying Frau Schultz that her husband has collapsed and died. If we can keep it from the public until we've found out how the poison got into that glass, I'd be grateful.
Well, I can understand your concern for the good name of the Society, and that the dignified proceedings of your Congress should not be unduly disturbed.
Good heavens, it isn't that, Inspector. Just that as president of the Royal Society, and at the same time as your most obvious suspect...
Oh, just a minute. Why do you say my most obvious suspect?
Well, I've told you. I was the one that poured that water from the jug into the glass and handed it to him. Frankly, I'm concerned for the dignity and reputation of the Royal Society, and more selfishly, my own position. I've heard of your work, Inspector, and I'm hoping and praying that before news of this murder leaks out, you'll have apprehended the monster who caused Professor Schultz's death. That's why I asked everyone to leave, including the caretaker.
Mm-hmm. I take it you've examined the jug and the glass containing the poison?
Yes, Inspector, if you'll come with me.
Professor Wilson and I left the Congress Hall and walked towards the antechamber. Coming towards us was a short, rotund, middle-aged man in his early 50s. He was as unlike a scientist as one could possibly imagine. Yet it was the famous Professor Marchbanks, responsible for the Marchbanks theory into the materialist conception of medical history.
I've broken the news to Frau Schultz. She wanted to know the cause of her husband's death. I evaded a direct answer by saying that we wouldn't know until the autopsy had been held. Are you from the police, sir?
This is Inspector Carr, Professor March.
Oh, how do you do, Inspector? Terrible business. To happen here, of all places.
How do you do, Professor?
I'm about to show the inspector the body. What a terrible word.
Now, what have you done with the jug and the glass?
I placed them in the anteroom, knowing how vital they'll be to your inquiries.
Have you told the inspector about the slight contretemps over the agenda?
No, I was about to.
What was that?
Well, Marchbanks and I were responsible for drawing up the agenda. There was a cocktail party last night, a traditional event on the eve of our annual Congress.
Professor Wilson. May I have a word with you, please? Guten Abend, Professor Marchbanks.
Oh, good evening, Professor Schultz.
Oh, certainly, but will you...
No. It concerns Professor Marchbanks. You two constitute, how you say, the steering committee, no?
Yes, Professor. Oh, by the way, how do you find your hotel? Adequate?
Let us not indulge in trivialities. I see that you have down here Professor Henderson to speak at 9 o'clock, and I will read my paper at 11 after the tea recess, no?
Yes, that's right. Marchbanks and I thought that...
No.
But why?
Have you not read his critique of my book? The man is a charlatan. He claims to a scholarship he does not possess. Only in this country could Henderson become professor. They reprinted his article in Der Spiegel. Now, in my country, I was made...
Before you go on, Professor Schultz, Norman Henderson happens to be my son-in-law. There's no more gifted man in his field. If you're questioning either his integrity or his qualifications...
If he speaks first, it means we are both on the platform together tomorrow evening. Tomorrow morning. Now, this I will not tolerate. I've already written to the association expressing my disgust at such cheap scientific journalism.
Now, look here. Henderson's not only Wilson's son-in-law, he's a dear friend of mine. And I'm not going to stand here listening to you running...
on, Marchbanks. All right, Professor Schultz. I don't want the Congress to start on an acrimonious note. I'll get a new agenda run-off. You may read your paper first thing tomorrow morning. Expected this morning to have a slightly charged atmosphere. I wasn't prepared for what did happen, though.
I'm sure you weren't.
Oh, shall we go in?
Yes, certainly, it's just here. I took the precaution of locking the door just in case the murderer was still lurking in the building.
I cannot pretend that I find the Herr Professor a man of endearing charm, but to have this happen to him.
The antechamber was a sort of study-cum-reference library. The walls completely covered in books of heavy binding. Obviously, learned tomes ready to be used by members of the society requiring items for reference. Sprawling in a large armchair was the lifeless body of the German delegate. It did not require any training in medicine to appreciate the fact that he'd been poisoned. The blue tinge around his lips and nostrils, the slight bubbles of froth at each end of his mouth told the tale all too clearly. On a small table near the body was a half-filled jug and a glass containing a minute amount of liquid. I assume the glass fell from his hand as he collapsed.
Yes, Inspector, but there remained sufficient liquid for laboratory analysis.
Good. And the jug? If you say that you poured the water from the
Just
jug...
a minute, Inspector. Smell this jug.
Huh? There's no smell of almonds or any other kind of acid.
Now, smell this glass.
Mm-hmm. It's not almonds. That's extraordinary smell. It's almost like stale cabbage.
Yes, Inspector Carr. That's how we describe the smell of parricide. It's 10 times deadlier than cyanide. Now, do you see why I'm apprehensive for my reputation?
Honestly, Wilson, no one's going to...
Just a minute, sir. Tell me about the parricide.
Well, it was discovered during the early part of the war. Professor Coble at Oxford discovered that, given the right amount of humidity, one could produce from the fungus an acid which, when mixed with a certain agent, produced what we now know as parricide. It was used to poison wells by our special agents acting behind the lines. Many a poor blighter swallowed the capsule rather than fall into the hands of the Gestapo.
You say that the professor was giving his lecture, paused to get a drink of water. Oh, but you did it for him, hmm? You picked up the jug and the glass, poured the water into the glass.
It must have contained a minute spot of parricide.
You didn't see it?
Inspector, except for its smell, which one would hardly notice in the midst of a lecture, a parricide is completely colorless.
And so the $64 question is, who put the parricide in the glass, when, and why?
I don't know how you do it. I just don't know.
Do what?
Well, cook the meals you do on your housekeeping budget.
When you're a housewife, you learn all the tricks. Like today, I bought a big supply of Pret shortening. It's good. I know lots of girls who don't have to budget, but they won't use anything but Pret.
Well, what do you use it for?
Almost everything. Roasting, baking, and of course pastry. Pret is the shortening for pastry, you know.
Well, darling, I think you're a wonderful cook.
Thank you.
My mother was a great cook, too.
My mother's a better cook than your mother. Nobody can cook as good as my mom.
When it comes to cooking, mothers go down in history. And when it comes to pastry, tender golden roasts, light crispy fries, Pret shortening stands alone among women who care.
My mother cooks with Pret.
There was little more I could do at the august building that housed the Royal Society. Having arranged for the corpse to be removed to the police mortuary so that our own surgeons could examine it, and the jug and glass to be sent to our forensic laboratories, I returned to Scotland Yard. By then, it was almost lunchtime, with the midday racing editions containing news of Schultz's death.
Read all about it. Royal Society delegate drops dead. Sudden death of German professor. Read all about it.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Inspector.
Hello.
Some professor collapses. You'd think all these scientists would know how to live forever, wouldn't you?
A problem that has escaped man since time immemorial.
Oh, blimey, Inspector. You are being a bit...
Royal Society, would you say? It does get infections.
What's that, infections?
Never mind. I'm thinking of poison.
I see, Inspector. You want to know who manufactures parricide and where?
That's right, Ops. Now get through to X branch.
Right, sir.
Schultz lived at Stuttgart. Get through to the commandant there. We'd be grateful for any discreet inquiries he could make. Any enemies, that sort of thing.
Right, sir.
I also want to know from immigration how often Professor Schultz visited the United Kingdom, whether the immigration form gives references. In fact, I want as clear a picture as I can possibly get of Schultz's activities and contacts over the last 10 years.
Right, sir.
My compliments to X branch. If they don't come up with something pretty soon, it means getting to work on the background of 75 eminent scientists from 48 different countries.
Blimey, sir.
Say that again. Get weaving.
Very good, sir. Go through, please.
Oh, are you Mr. Matthews?
Yes, that's right, sir. You wanted to see me?
Yes, do come in. Sit down.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Don't be nervous. No one's going to eat you. You've heard that one of the speakers died this morning?
Yes, I did, sir.
You're caretaker come staff superintendent, aren't you?
Yes, sir, that's right. I see to it that the cleaners do their work properly. The attendants are on hand when the Royal Society is open for lectures, that sort of thing, sir.
So I gather. Now, Mr. Matthews, your evidence is vitally important.
Well, I can understand that, sir. Poor bloke being murdered away from his home.
Frankly, I'm trying to crack this case before the press get hold of the full facts. An incident like this can create all sorts of international frictions. Now, someone put poison in that glass. What I want from you is a complete timetable. When the glasses are taken from their storage place, who washes them, who got hold of the jug, the lot.
I see, sir, yes.
Better still, I think I'd better go over there, and I'd like you to get the staff on parade. I want everyone to go through the motions of their activities this morning. Where were they? How far away were they from the Congress Hall? And most important of all, who handled the glass and the jug?
Very good, sir.
Listen to me, everyone. Quiet, please. You know that a guest of the Royal Society collapsed and died suddenly some hours ago. We had hoped to confine our investigations within circumscribed limits so that it is not common knowledge that foul play is suspected. It is. Vital to my investigation is the knowledge of what you were all doing when this tragic incident occurred. I want to know also who handled the jug and the glass that were placed on the platform table. And so, urged on by Matthews, the staff mimed their actions earlier that day. It seemed that one man handled the glass containing the deadly poison. Now you say, Buckley, that you took the glass and the jug from that cupboard, walked over to the sink, washed and dried them, half-filled the jug with water, placed it on that silver tray, carried it to the Congress Hall, and placed it on the table. Is that right?
Yes, sir, that's right.
And you say that you're sure that the tray was placed on the table at 8:45.
I'm sure of it, sir, yes. You see, I was due to start cleaning the West Wing at 9 o'clock, and I looked at my watch and said, blimey, I'd better get a move on if I want a cup of tar first.
And you never came back to the Congress Hall?
No, sir, I never.
Thank you.
Sir.
Well, thank you, Mr. Matthews. I think that's about all. I must check these timetables against the times given me by the President. You say, Professor Wilson, that the Congress commenced at 9 o'clock.
Yes, that is so.
I'm now convinced that the glass was tampered with at the Congress Hall. Who was the first to arrive at the hall?
Let me see. I was... Oh, no. Marchbanks. He was already on the platform when I got there.
What time did you get there?
I'd say about 5 to 9.
Did you touch the glass or the jug at all before you opened the proceedings, I mean?
No, I just made sure it was there. I didn't want another altercation with the worthy professor.
What do you mean?
Oh, he was rather Teutonic in his reminder at the cocktail party.
Auf Wiedersehen, Professor Wilson.
Here's your coat, sir.
Danke schön.
Good night, Professor. We'll see you in the morning.
Yeah, my lecture. The condition of my mouth when I speak, it gets very dry. Please make sure there's fresh water.
My dear Professor, there's always fresh water on the conference table. Is there not, Matthews?
Always, sir.
I see. And you say that Professor Marchbanks was already at the hall when you arrived?
Yes, he was.
Mr. President, don't you think we ought... Sorry, Inspector.
Oh, no, not a bit. Just the man I wanted to see, Professor Marchbanks. The President tells me that you were the first to arrive at the conference.
Yes, I was.
You saw the jug of water and glass on the table?
Yes, I did.
Did you touch the glass?
I'm afraid so. I moved a little further towards the center, handier for the speaker. I took it off the tray.
I see.
I'm sorry, but
Then it must have been yours. There are 3 distinct fingerprints and 1 rather smudged. That makes 4 in all. Buckley, who put the tray there, yourself, who moved the glass, Professor Wilson, who picked up both glass and jug to pour the water, and, of course, the unfortunate Schultz, who drank from the glass.
So that makes 4 suspects.
One didn't have to handle the glass to doctor it. Thank you, gentlemen. I trust that neither of you will be leaving London for the time being. I'm almost certain to want to question you again. Carp?
Operations here, Inspector.
Yes?
Rather negative about the late Professor Schultz, sir.
Oh?
Hasn't visited this country for 12 years. Stayed at Trumpington near Cambridge while he was attending a course at Queen's College.
That's not going to help us much, is it? Well, I'll be...
Beg your pardon, sir.
I'm sorry, Ops. I was indulging in a little self-castigation. I'm a blind, stupid nitwit.
Oh, well, sir...
Now, you'd better not say anything, or I'll have you up before the disciplinary board. Matthews. Peter Matthews. Employed by the Royal Society. I want to know everything and anything about him, and as quickly as you can.
Very good, sir.
It had to be. There was no other reasonable explanation. For the rest of the day, I went through the motions, pursuing my investigation, checking on all the delegates, the staff, receiving reports from ex-branch. Yet deep down in my heart was the knowledge that the answer to the mystery of who killed Professor Gustav Schultz could be supplied by one man. Well?
Peter Matthews.
That's the man.
What did you say, sir?
I'm sorry. Well, what have you got?
Peter Matthews. Employed before the war as a trainee scaffolding engineer. Conscripted in the army in 1941, taken prisoner in 1943. Released by American forces in 1945.
Not enough, Ops. Not half enough. Where did he serve in the army? Where was he taken prisoner? And by the same token, where was Professor Schultz during those years? Because I want motive, man, motive. It had to be. It was beyond all credence that men such as Professors Marchbanks and Wilson would plot and execute a murder in the august precincts of the Royal Society. It had to be Matthews. It was. Carp.
I'll get in now, sir.
Come on, up with it, Ops. What have you got?
Peter Matthews, posted to the Rifle Brigade March the 4th, 1941.
Yes?
Transferred to Special Services on January the 10th, 1943. Worked behind the enemy lines. Was captured in October the same year.
And Schultz?
Matthews was a prisoner in the Frowley camp where the commandant was Schultz.
That's it. That ties it up. Thank you, Ops. Tell ex-branch they've done a good job. Ah, Professor Wilson. Tell me, Professor, what do you know about Matthews?
Matthews? I wasn't president in those days, of course, but I was on the appointments committee. The authorities had difficulty in finding situations for some of our poor lads who had been tortured during their imprisonment. I remember when I first met Matthews, a youth with the face of an old man. He had been trained to work in structural engineering. After his experiences in Frolig, there was little he could do other than what he's doing now. But surely you don't suspect...
It's more than suspicion, Professor. It's fact.
But you know what that man went through? He went through the agonies of hell and never once betrayed the whereabouts of his comrades. You know he was decorated by the king.
His torturer was Schultz. If he didn't do the actual torturing, he was in command.
There's no point in denying it, is there, Inspector? You've figured it all out, chapter and verse. All those years I kept that poison, a capsule 1/3 of an inch long and 1/6 of an inch wide, and I knew that one day that parasite would help me settle a score with that swine.
Matthews, I'm sorry for you, but you've no right to take the law into your own hands. I'm arresting you for the premeditated
All right,
murder.
Inspector. You needn't finish it. I plead guilty. What is there for me to live for anyway? When they got me back to Blighty, they told me I couldn't hope to live the life of any normal man, you know, have a wife and kids and...
Matthews, is there anyone you'd like me to telephone? Anything I can get you before I take you down to the cells?
Would you please just tell Professor Wilson I'm sorry, and I wouldn't have let anyone else be charged. I really wouldn't have, Inspector.
I'm convinced of that, old chap.
You got onto me pretty quickly.
You helped me.
Me?
How? Well, you see, Matthews. Well, listeners, how did Matthews give himself away? Not sure? Listen to the commercial, and I'll be back to tell you.
What are you thinking about?
Oh, I was just thinking about the week we spent in that dilapidated old beach shack and the fun sandwiches you concocted. You had a thing about yum-yum peanut butter, which you mixed with,
Crisp bacon. My yum-yum special.
It was great. And then there was the honey. I must say, honey and yum-yum taste very good.
It's good, healthy eating. Hey, what are you thinking about now?
Just thinking a yum-yum sandwich would taste very nice right now.
Smooth, creamy, yum-yum peanut butter. Memorable because it's the peanut butter that remains creamy, from the first pat to the last bit right at the bottom of the jar. No wonder little boys, and dads too, enjoy scooping it out by the fingerful.
Yum-yum. This is nice.
Hey, Mom, there's a 4% off special offer right now at all the shops on Yum Yum peanut butter.
All right, you little blighter. Off you go to sleep.
Well, listeners, what was it that pointed to Matthews as the culprit? Simple, really. If you remember, there was a complete conspiracy of silence between myself and the two professors. No one else knew that the man had been murdered. And yet Matthews said to me,
Poor bloke, being murdered away from his home.
how did he know unless he was the murderer? That statement, coupled with...
Here's your coat, sir.
Dankeschön.
Good night, Professor. See you in the morning.
Yeah, my lecture. It's the condition of my mouth when I speak. It gets very dry. Please make sure there is fresh water.
As soon as Matthews set eyes on the commandant of the camp who failed to recognize him, he was determined on revenge. They made his life as comfortable as they could in prison, but the ill health that dogged him took its toll, and he died in prison hospital. And the moral of the story, if you're a member of the Gestapo, don't go torturing your prisoner. He'll only get acid. Good night.
The Epic Casebook was produced by Michael Silver for the makers of Epic Pure Sunflower Oil, Maple Margarine, Yum Yum Peanut Butter, and Niblets Cheese Twists, with Hugh Rouse as Inspector Carr. Listen again next Thursday night at 9:30 to another exciting story from our Epic Casebook.
Kosten op die tafel.
The makers of Epic Pure Sunflower Oil, Purine and Pret Cooking Fat, Yum Yum Peanut Butter, Maple Margarine, and Niblets Cheese Twists present the Epic Casebook. In which Inspector Carr investigates.
Good evening. Browsing through my casebook of crime, she who is dear to me asked what kind of murder story I was going to include this week. I told her it concerned the killing of a woman and that trains and railwaymen were involved. She reminded me that it was but a few weeks ago that I broadcast a story of a man who was murdered in a railway compartment. However, I justify tonight's theme of murder investigation because I believe ever since the steam engine was first invented, trains have been a source of fascination for us.
largely because there's always an air of mystery and secrecy about a train speeding past at night. And also because people who use trains become a sort of self-contained community for the duration of the journey. I think it is this air of mystery that prompts small boys to have an ambition to become engine drivers, since it means going into the unknown. Having justified my choice of story tonight, let me tell you about it. I've called it Death Among the Sleepers. The investigation began, as far as Scotland Yard was concerned, with operations reporting the finding of a woman at the bottom of a railway embankment.
Inspector, a call has come through from the Lincolnshire CID asking for assistance.
Lincolnshire, eh?
Yes, sir. All they've sent through is that a body was discovered at the bottom of a railway embankment about 8 miles south of Grantham.
How much preliminary investigation has been done by the Lincolnshire boys?
Don't know, sir. Would you like us to go there?
No, don't bother. Get through to movement control, find out the next available train to Grantham, make them aware of my arrival.
Hello there, Inspector Carr. Long time no see.
Hello, Hudson. Nice of you to meet me.
Pleasure.
Yes, it has been a long time, about 3 years,
Sorry to have dragged you all the way up here, but you boys are much better equipped to handle a complicated investigation such as this.
You're too modest. Now, this woman was found beside the main line, wasn't she?
Yes. 2 railway gangers were walking along the line, tapping in the wooden blocks that hold the rails to the sleepers, when...
Thank goodness I'm not doing this job by myself. I go stark raving mad. Walk a yard, stop, tap, tap. Walk a yard, stop. Boy, it gets monotonous.
Never mind, Pete. The end's in sight.
Yes.
Look out there. Step aside.
Frank, what are you looking at?
Down there, the bottom of the embankment. Can you see it?
Yes.
What do you make of it?
Why, it's only some rags.
What, with red hair?
Whoa, what do you mean, red hair?
It's a body. A woman. Come on.
Oh. Horrible. What a mess.
Must have been a pretty woman, too. You stay here. I'll go get out of the police.
My men were on the scene in a matter of minutes. It's obvious that the woman, whoever the woman was, she was either pushed for the train or she fell out.
I see. And what does your police surgeon say?
Well, we checked against his estimated time of death, which was between 7:30 and 8:30 last night. We checked with the train authorities.
Any luck?
And more than that, the fast train from Crewe was traveling along that point at the appropriate time. And what's more, the train attendant says that a woman answering her description was a passenger on it.
Well, I've been looking at the description operations supplied to me. I've got it here.
Yes.
Height 5'8", weight approximately 10 stone, green eyes, auburn hair. You know, there are hundreds of thousands of women who'd answer that description.
Oh, that's true enough. What you weren't told is that we found her bag since reporting her death. It was found in a thicket just behind the body.
Well, that's interesting. It should help.
It does in one way. There was a ticket from Crewe to London, so she was on the train all right. There's nothing else in her bag that could identify her as a person.
Oh, dear, that's a pity.
If you'll come through, I'll show you.
All right.
Here it is. Here's the clothing.
Lacerated and torn. Looks rather good quality.
Oh, no question about it. Oh, we'll trace the woman through these clothes, if nothing else.
What's that over there? Is that the handbag?
Yes, that's it. Oh, the usual things, you know, lipstick, powder, feminine fripperies, £3, 12 shillings in cash.
Anything else that I can use?
Not really. Of course, if you want me
No, I'll take care of her. I think the first thing to do is have a word with the railway people.
Yes, that ticket was issued yesterday morning at Crewe. I checked with London.
They're one ticket short, which means that ticket found in this woman's bag is the one issued for that particular train.
I see, thank you. At what speed would the train be travelling at the point where she was found?
At approximately 75 miles an hour.
That's a horrible way to die. You received a report from your employees, I take it.
Oh, yes, of course.
Any likelihood of it being an accident?
Inspector, when a train is travelling at such a speed, a person will have great difficulty in opening the door against the wind. She either committed suicide or was pushed out, but not to be caused by an unfortunate accident.
Thank you. Oh, we're having one of our artists create what they think the woman looked like before her face was so badly disfigured. Copies of this picture will be in your office within an hour. I'd be grateful if members of the crew, ticket collectors, and so on were asked to identify her.
Well, naturally, Inspector, the Railway Administration will do all it can to assist you in your investigation.
However, the response from the artist's impression of the picture was of little help as far as tracing the woman was concerned. While she was unrecognized, no one could give us any information that would assist us in learning her identity or what happened on the train to cause this unknown woman to be found dead by a railway embankment. However, the artist did not draw his picture in vain. Carr speaking.
Operations here, Inspector.
Ah, what have you got for me?
A woman found on railway line, identified from picture as a Mrs. Nancy Fordley, 32 Half Moon Street, Crewe. Divorced, one child.
Right, Ops.
Very good, sir. Shall I organise transport?
Yes, please. By the time I'd reached Crewe, my local colleagues had all the information I required. The husband of the dead woman was a Mr. Michael Fordley. I was driven to his place of employment. He rose from his office seat, a tall, slightly stooping figure, somewhat balding, with eyes that had a gentle look about them. Gentle and sad. Please, don't get up. I'm sorry to trouble you at your place of employment, but time is of the essence.
Yeah, I understand. When Sergeant Henderson came to tell me about it, I couldn't believe it. I haven't told Gertrude. Inspector, I don't know what to do.
Oh, at 6 years of age, the shock won't be too much for her.
Poor little Gertie. Perhaps they'll give me custody. She's at boarding school, 4 miles from here.
Did you continue to see your ex-wife?
Oh, yes. Not by design. Crewe may be the railway junction for England, but to us locals, it's just a village. We were always bumping into each other.
When did you see her last?
Oh, no more than 7 or 8 days ago. I ran into her in a pub.
So I understand. You were heard to threaten your ex-wife.
Oh, she promised I could see my daughter regularly. She was trying to turn Gertrude against me.
According to the local police, she lived rather well. I suppose you were paying her alimony.
Yes, but I'm not exactly overpaid as chief clerk by Crewe Engineering Works. She couldn't have lived on what I paid her.
What am I to make of that?
Inspector Carr, I expect you to make of it what you will. You're a man of the world.
You mean men?
I mean just that.
Well, there is a very remote possibility of suicide. Was she in any kind of trouble, do you know?
Nancy, suicide? The idea's ridiculous.
Mr. Fordley, had your ex-wife any special man friend?
I don't know if special is the right word to use, Inspector. But the whole of Crewe knows that Norman Simmons was, shall we say, her protector.
Norman Simmons, thank you. Oh, do you know his address?
You must be joking, Inspector Carr. Didn't you notice as you drove down the street, Simmons Land Development Company and Simmons Garage?
Oh, I get the message, Mr. Fordley. Oh, I must ask you this. Why did Mrs. Fordley divorce you? You see, I had to look into your background.
I let her divorce me because she asked me to. It's as simple as that. I knew that she'd fallen out of love with me, kept telling me that our marriage was a mistake, so it was no good hanging on to her. I gave her grounds for divorce. Perhaps I was weak. Shouldn't have let her go. You may as well know it, Inspector. I haven't got over it yet. That's why this has come as such a shock. You see, deep down in my heart, I always felt there was a chance that we might get together again.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I know it's silly. But somehow the fact that she was killed whilst we were divorced makes it harder to bear. I suppose you think I'm talking nonsense.
No, I don't think you're talking nonsense. I understand perfectly.
Mr. Norman Simmons, you say? Norman Simmons proved to be the antithesis of the bereaved ex-husband. Where Fordley was sad and beaten, Simmons' personality was the epitome of a good-looking, successful businessman whom life had gazed upon with a kindly eye. Particularly in stark contrast was his bouncy cheerfulness.
Well, well, the famous modern Sherlock Holmes has descended upon us. We're indeed honored. Welcome to crew, Inspector.
Thank you. No doubt you were expecting me.
Aye? Why should I, Inspector?
A close friend of yours is found dead by a railway embankment. Her identity has become known, causing the entire community of crew to be seething with speculation and excitement and gossip linking her name with yours, Mr. Simmons.
Only mine.
Frankly, Mr. Simmons, your name seems to be more prominent than the others.
They're wrong. I now prefer fast motor cars to fast women. I got disenchanted with Nancy Fordley months ago. You've been described as the famous sleuth of the murder squad, but there's been no mention in the paper that murder had been committed. Was she murdered?
That's what I'm trying to find out. Most of the medical evidence suggests it was a case of murder. Have you any idea why or who?
No, not as a fact, but if you want me to hazard a guess, I'd say that if any man had reason to push her off the train, it was her ex-husband.
Why do you say that?
Well, I suppose you've been to see him. I should imagine the reason would be all too apparent. She drove him into the ground. It's these weak, pitiful men who turn out to be killers, or so my storybooks tell me.
You shouldn't believe all you read, Mr. Simmons, and by the same token, a good detective never believes everything he hears. For instance, local gossip has hinted that you were the cause of their marriage breakup. That she was in love with you then.
Oh, that's what she told him. Nancy pretended to be in love with me because she'd outgrown the poor sap. Our affair was over long before then.
When did you last travel to London by train, Mr. Simmons?
Oh, come off it, Inspector. She and I had some fun together, and that was that. I haven't traveled by train to London for over a week. If you're looking to me as a possible suspect, you're wasting your time. Why don't you check? Every booking clerk, railway porter knows my face.
It does your heart good to bake a maple cake, then see them ask for more.
Feather light, fine textured and rich tasting. That's how your cakes will turn out every time you use maple margarine. Maple margarine is rich in flavor, rich in vitamins too.
It does your heart good to bake a maple cake, then see them ask for more.
Maple.
It's got lift. It's got lift. Purine pastry's got lift because purine is pure. Purine pastry is light, fluffy, and full of lift.
With Purine Pure Cooking Fat, you get the taste of your own good cooking.
Of course, Norman Simmons' attitude was just a little too forced to be true. His ebullience and overconfidence was meant to impress me with what? His devil-may-care attitude to life, his innocence. I decided to spend some time with one of the most fruitful sources of information, the landlord of the local hostelry.
It was a terrible business. She had it coming to her, did Nancy Fordley. Why, she used to carry on in a pub sometimes, making fun of poor Mike, as the ex-husband,
What about Simmons?
Oh, I think she made a match there. If you ask me, he was the only man she really went overboard for. I don't think it was money either. Ruthless swine is Simmons. He certainly got away with the women. Oh, yes.
And who was Mrs. Fordley's current boyfriend?
It's a funny thing. She didn't seem to go about with one of the locals lately. Wait a minute.
Yes, what have you thought of?
Yeah, some months ago, she asked me if I knew a district called Herne Hill, seeing as how I come from London originally.
Thank you. Thank you, landlord. I think that explains something. I think I'll have another word with the station master.
Went up to London quite a lot, she did, almost every week.
When did she return?
Oh, I couldn't tell you exactly, but I know this. She was always here for the weekends. Used to bring her daughter home from boarding school.
I see. Well, what about a suitcase? Did she used to come onto the railway platform with a suitcase?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that. Not the sort of thing anyone would notice, is it?
No, I don't suppose it is. Oh, how far am I from Half Moon Street?
Oh, it's not more than 3 minutes' walk from here.
Using a skeleton key, I entered the tiny terraced house occupied by the now dead woman. Whatever her morals, no one could question her pride in her house. It was spotlessly clean, and in the room that she would describe as her parlor was a framed portrait of her daughter, a smiling, happy little child. Upstairs, the bedroom gave an appearance of neatness. With the inevitable feeling of distaste, I went through her private effects. There was little of value. No love or threatening letters. No diary to reveal her reasons for the frequent trips to London. And then I came across a receipt, which was to save us many hours of questioning. Yes?
Operations here, Inspector. The receipt for 6 months' rent at Langley Flats is in the name of Oliver Danbury.
Yes?
Married, 3 children, owns the Danbury garage at Norwood.
Married, 3 children.
That's it.
Things are hotting up. Thanks, Ops.
About that suitcase.
Tell the lost property office not to bother. There wasn't a suitcase. Mrs. Fordley had a dual establishment. That's why she could stay overnight in London without having to take any accessories with her. Get X-Branch to find out whether Danbury was away from work at the time she was killed, whether he'd taken a train going north. He's obviously suspect number 1.
Very good, sir.
I think I'll be a little kind to the man. I'll question him at the garage. Mr. Danbury, I'm inquiring into the death of a Mrs. Nancy Fordley.
I wondered when the police would be on to me.
Why do you say on to you?
As soon as I saw that artist drawing in the paper, I knew that my life was over.
Because you killed her?
Because of what? You don't think I pushed her off the train?
How do you know she fell from a train?
Well, because I always go round to her flat. She never turned up. I wondered what had happened, and then 2 days later I saw that drawing of her in the paper.
When we published the artist's impression in the newspapers, we did not know her identity. Why didn't you come forward?
Well, it said that the police, that you people were anxious for information concerning her identity. I hadn't got the guts. I was afraid my wife would find out what had been going on.
What do you mean, going on? Were you in love with Mrs. Ford?
I hated her.
Hated her? Yet you paid the rent for her flat in Herne Hill. I've been going through her bank book. She's been getting regular remittances. Weren't they from you?
Yeah, I kept her. You won't understand this. I didn't love her. I hated her, and yet I wanted her. I couldn't get her out of my system.
Was she blackmailing you, Mr. Danbury?
Sometimes. Sometimes I'd tell her to go away. It was a torment. I know I've been weak. I've been unfaithful to my wife, but I loved her. I've got three wonderful kids. Every time Nancy begging with my little finger, I'd be running out. Oh, excuse me.
Were you on that train?
No, Inspector.
Where were you between 7:30 and 8:30 on Tuesday night?
I was having supper with my wife and kids. Please, does my wife have to know?
Mr. Danbury, I'm not concerned with your morals, nor with your domestic relationship. If I find it necessary to check on your alibi with your wife, I'll do so. Despite my threat, my suspicions concerning Oliver Danbury began to fade. It seemed extremely unlikely that he would travel all the way to Crewe, book a ticket back to London, and board the train in search of his mistress in order to kill her. And so I was back to square one. And then I remembered something that I should have taken into consideration from the very beginning. Cursing myself for being such a thick-headed fool, I started from scratch.
Yes, sir.
Put me through to Ops.
Going through. Operations, sir.
Oh, Carr speaking. Get through to Crewe. Tell them I strongly suspect Norman Simmons of killing Nancy Fordley. I don't believe she was on that train at all. But me no buts. Now, there's a good chap. We've got all our times wrong. She was killed between 7 and 8:30, but that doesn't mean that she was murdered at the spot where she was found. In the meantime, I have another word with Mr. Danbury. Mr. Danbury, I want to... Relax, old boy, relax. You're off my list of suspects.
Oh, thank heaven. It wasn't for myself.
I haven't time for your unctuous self-pity. You deserve the shock you've got. Now, here are some amounts. These paying-in slips were taken from the Herne Hill flat. There's one here for £100. Did you ever give her £100 in one sum?
£100? Of course not. I mean, I'm not that rich.
Significantly, it was in cash. Someone was being blackmailed. She seemed quite a character, did Mrs. Ford.
And to think
yes,
that I was...
my friend, if you'd carried on your relationship with this woman, you'd have gone one way. Talking about ways, I think I'd better hie me back to Crewe. I don't think I've ever seen so many passengers, Station Master.
Not surprising, Inspector. This is the main railway junction. You might call this the nerve centre of the railway system.
You remember I asked you if you were able to recognize Mrs. Fordley as being one of the passengers? You said yes, but you didn't sound very sure.
Well,
She usually caught that train to London,
Yes.
But you're not sure, are you?
Well, Inspector, that's the fast train to London. Carried over 800 passengers. It's the longest train in operation, and
I
furthermore...
don't feel too badly, Station Master. According to her description, there was nothing outstanding. In fact, I remembered saying at the time many women were of that height, weight, and colouring.
Thank you for letting me off the hook.
Before we were able to identify Mrs. Fordley, one of our artists made an impression of her face, which was terribly disfigured. Did you see it in the paper?
Yes.
Now, when you looked at it, did you think that's Mrs. Fordley, who lives in Crewe?
No.
That clinches it. Because when this was shown to the guard and the train attendants, they thought they recognized her, because there must have been a dozen women on that train answering to that description. In fact, Mr. Station Master, I'm willing to wager my non-existent bowler hat that Mrs. Fordley was never on that train.
But, Inspector,
All
she was
in
fine.
good time, Station Master. I have a feeling that the answers to all the questions will soon become available. Mr. Simmons, I'm looking for an answer to a vital question. I think you can supply it.
I gave answers to all your questions, Inspector, the last time you were here. Don't tell me you haven't crossed me off your list of suspects.
Mr. Simmons, when it comes to an investigation of murder, we have at our disposal a vast network of machinery.
What do you mean?
I'm trying to suggest that we both can save a great deal of time if you answer my question truthfully. Where were you between the hours of 7:30 and 8:30 last Tuesday night?
I've already told you I wasn't on that train.
That isn't what I asked you, is it?
At home, having a drink.
All the time?
Yes.
You weren't, you know. At 7:40, that super-duper glamorous sports car of yours that you're so proud of was seen by a radio patrolman and by Sergeant Watson of the County Mobile Police to be travelling towards Grantham.
I don't possess the only Loxton sports car in the country.
No, of course you don't. Why didn't you tell me that Mrs. Fordley was blackmailing you? I have a sworn statement from a cashier at the Crewe National Bank that you drew 100 £1 notes from your bank the same day as Mrs. Fordley deposited a like amount in £1 notes.
I don't know what all this is leading to.
Don't you? What a horrible thing to do. Murder's bad enough, but to disfigure the woman's face to make it look as though she fell from a train.
Look here, Inspector. I've stood just about enough from you. Are you charging me with murder? You know that a sports car speeding towards Grantham isn't sufficient grounds for a prosecution. Just because you failed in your investigation, you're trying to make me a stooge, I think is the word.
You should have been a bit more careful, you know. Those wild-growing brambles. Didn't you notice the nick in your jacket?
In my jacket.
And all that soot and dust. Lucky it didn't rain. Perfect footprints. And fancy handling the woman without any gloves.
I didn't mean to. Really, I didn't, Inspector. She came round here, taunted me. Told me that she was on her way to the station. She knew I was going to get engaged as Sir Robert Anderson's daughter. I picked up that brass paperweight. I just went berserk. Then she was dead. A reserved railway seat ticket fell from her pocket. It was then that I had the idea of taking an accidental suicide beside the railway.
All right, come along with me.
Well done, Carr. I might as well tell you that the railway authorities are very relieved. And it turned out to be an accident. The dead woman's executors would have a large claim for damages on behalf of the bereaved daughter. Let's see, she was found dead last Tuesday night, and it's now Friday morning. Quick work.
Quick work, you say? This case would have been solved in 48 hours if you and I had noticed a piece of evidence we'd overlooked. We wouldn't have wasted time questioning porters, station master.
Oh, what was it?
Well, you've gone through the dossier. And you, listeners, were told all the evidence gathered during my investigation. What was it that made me switch suddenly? Remember that I declared that I'd have to get back to square one? You know what it was? We're not sure? Listen to the commercial, and I'll be back to tell you. Well, listeners, what was it? What was it that I had overlooked during the preliminary investigations? It was this. If you remember, we heard that the train was traveling at a speed of 75 miles an hour at the point where the body was found. Yet, Inspector Hudson himself told me...
We found the handbag. It's found in a thicket just behind the body.
Get it now? If a woman is thrown from a train traveling at that speed, A, it's extremely unlikely that she will still be clutching her handbag, and B, in the unlikely event that she did so, the bag would be thrown some hundreds of yards away from the body. Certainly it would not be discovered behind a thicket where the body was found. A foolish mistake on Norman Simmons' part. The moral of the story, Confucius says, fast car with fast woman cause man to lose throttle. Good night.
The Epic Casebook was produced by Michael Silver for the makers of Epic Pure Sunflower Oil, Maple Margarine, Yum Yum Peanut Butter, and Niblets Cheese Twists, with Hugh Rouse as Inspector Carr.
The makers of Epic Pure Sunflower Oil, Purine and Bread Cooking Fat, Yum Yum Peanut Butter, Maple Margarine, Niblets Cheese Twists, Halverine Bread Spread, and Blossom Yellow Margarine present the Epic Casebook. In which Inspector Carr investigates.
Good evening. I don't think that there has ever been a newspaper account of a murder trial that has haunted me for so long as the recent case of a young South African girl who was thrown overboard from a British merchant vessel, and of the young merchant seaman named Stephen Marley, who was charged and convicted. The trial was given full coverage by the South African press, and rightly so, not because of the victim's nationality, but because the whole dreadful story contained circumstances almost beyond belief. Obviously, I don't propose to dwell on the sensational and garish evidence which came out at the trial, but one cannot help wondering as to how these two girls, for if you've read the account of the trial, you will know there was another stowaway on board, how they came to choose the sort of life they were leading before they boarded the vessel. The judge commented on the fact that these two girls could stow away on a vessel with such ease, and understandably suggested that stricter precautions were necessary. Yet, keeping away unauthorized persons from a boat which is about to sail is not easy. I'm not claiming to be an authority on a ship and those that sail in her, but I did have to investigate very thoroughly the procedure and routine adopted when a ship leaves harbor. What's more, a stowaway figured prominently in my investigation. You see, the master of a vessel called the Dolphin was found murdered whilst the vessel was still on the high seas. She was sailing under a British flag, registered at Southampton. Let me tell you about it. I've called my story No Holds Barred.
Pick a pack of blossom, get its farm fresh taste today. When your breakfast gets them waking in the morning blossom. For the sandwiches you're making in the midday blossom. For your roast and baking in the evening blossom. Pick a pack of blossom.
Blossom Yellow Margarine.
Pick a pack of blossom.
For sandwiches that burst with health and farm-fresh taste.
Pick a pack of blossom.
For frying eggs to a golden turn. For dabbing on your vegetables, carrots, peas, potatoes.
Pick a pack of blossom.
For baking and roasting and spreading on crisp, warm rolls, and satisfying your family with its farm-fresh taste.
Blossom helps a busy mum. Make sure today you're choosing it, using it. Blossom, Blossom. Pick a pack of Blossom.
Pick a pack of Blossom.
The Dolphin was a cargo ship returning to home waters from New York when the murder was discovered by one of the crew. The incident was radioed to the head office of the Transatlantic Shipping Company, who in turn communicated with Scotland Yard, since their head office was in Leadenhall Street. Car?
Operations here, Inspector. Murder on the high seas, sir.
Are you reporting an incident or telling me of a movie you've seen, Ops?
Sorry about that dramatic opening, Inspector. Couldn't resist it. The general manager of the Transatlantic Shipping Company has telephoned to say that the master of the vessel called the Dolphin, he's been murdered 6 miles out of sea, sir.
Yeah? Where's the Dolphin based?
Southampton, sir.
Well, it's a matter for Winchester. Surely it comes under Hampshire CID.
Mr. Hamble, he's the general manager, sir, says that he communicated with the Southampton police, who say that the murdered man's home is in Barking. That comes under the metropolitan area. And he thought it was a matter for the murder squad, sir.
Case of passing the buck, if ever I heard one. All right, when's she due to dock?
According to Mr. Hamble, in about half an hour from now, sir. The docks are heavily congested and they expect some delay.
Oh, I better get down to Southampton docks right away. Are you the pilot ready to take me out to the Dolphin?
That's right. If you're the man from Scotland Yard I've been told to look out for.
Good, then let's away. My name's Carr.
Captain Hanley, at your service, sir. Yeah, let me give you a hand down.
Thanks.
Right.
Yes. Very misty, isn't it?
Certainly is. Look at them through the mist. They're waiting their turn to enter the docks.
The Dolphin among that lot?
No, she's been told to drop anchor and await your arrival. There she is. See where I'm pointing?
Huh?
About 45 degrees in the starboard bow.
Oh, good. Then let's go.
All right, Harry, we're away.
I don't know how you can see in all this mist.
Oh, this is nothing. You should see it when there's a real pea souper. Then it gets tricky. She's getting a bit clearer now. See that yellow funnel through the fog? That's her.
Do you know why we're going out?
I'll say it's all over the docks. They say there's been a mutiny and the skipper's been done in. Wouldn't surprise me. Real old martinet has Bill Timbled.
Oh, is that the reputation he had?
So they say. There's many a man who's refused to sign on the Dolphin because of Timbled. Mind you, they also say there was no finer sailor on the 7 seas. Oh, now you can see her, that's her. There's 3 black stripes on the funnels. That's the Transatlantic Shipping Company's ensign. Right, Harry. Easy as she goes. Off ahead. Off, ready. Steady. Right. Can you climb a rope ladder, Mr. Carr?
Well, reasonably well. I don't know whether that's the right answer in these choppy waters.
All right there. Port 5. Stop. Stand by to take a line aboard. How are you, Charlie?
How will you be? Is that a cop, will you?
Cop. 1. Chief Inspector Carr, New Scotland Yard.
Let's see. That's Charlie Hughes, first mate. Up you go, sir. I'll steady the rope ladder. Yep. My instructions are to await a radio message. Looks as though the Dolphin will be held up here for a couple of hours.
Well, thank you, Captain Hanley. I'll send the message through as soon as I'm ready to return.
Course off.
There was a distinct swell, and the slight sway of the rope ladder didn't help matters. But within a matter of a moment or so, I was aboard the merchant vessel Dolphin. Hughes was a big, burly man in a rather dirty jersey and a uniform cap on the back of his head. As we shook hands, I could see groups of sailors staring at me. Was it the fact that one of the crew was a murderer and therefore all was suspect? Was that the reason I sensed an atmosphere of hostility bordering on hate?
I wish I was welcoming you aboard under more pleasant circumstances, Chief Inspector.
All right, what are you all staring at? Haven't been paid off yet. Get back to your duties. Drop that lazy swine.
You there! Tell Sparks Radio the Chief Inspector car's aboard. He's got to tell the Southampton police.
Aye, sir.
The skipper's lying over there. Covered him with a tarpaulin. There's somebody else aboard you'll want to question.
I don't understand that cryptic remark, Mr. Hughes. I'll need to question everyone.
There'll be one more than you bargained for. Stowaway. How they managed to smuggle her aboard.
Do you mean there's a girl aboard this vessel?
Girl? More like a grandmother. She's mixed up in this somewhere or another. You mark my words. Things weren't like this in my day. Here, I'll take you to see the skipper.
All right.
He's over there, bottom of the ladder. By the forward well deck.
Anybody guarding the body?
Aye. Able Seaman Drake. All right, Drake. Back to your quarters. Well, this is the skipper. I decided not to move him until I got your instructions.
Quite right. Let's take a look. Oh. Coshed, eh? Whoever cracked that skull must have used a lot of force. Should look around for a murder weapon. Not that anyone's likely to leave it about when it would be a simple matter to throw it overboard. All right, Mr. Hughes, let's start from the beginning. When and how did it happen?
Well, just about halfway through the middle watch, I decided to go on deck.
Middle watch?
Yeah, about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, go on.
And I saw someone in oilskins running away. I didn't know why he was running or who it was. I come here to investigate. I saw the skipper. He'd obviously just been attacked. That crack on the skull must have killed him instantly. I shouted to the lookout to raise the alarm. All hands on deck! All hands on deck! Come on now! Someone's covered the skipper. He's dead. Look at him lying there.
Great suffering catfish.
Now I know the skipper got his number because of the stowaway. It's murder now, and if you won't talk, she will. You, George Ramsey. Where have you been for the last half hour?
On me bunk where I should still be. I've told you before I know nothing about that woman, and I'll tell you again.
You address me respectfully. I'm in charge of this vessel now. If you don't watch your step, I'll have you in iron. Of course, no one admitted to cracking the skipper's head wide open.
Now, this stowaway, where is she?
The skipper gave instructions for her to be kept locked up in the Sparks' cabin. He's bunked in with the chief engineer.
Is she American?
No. We searched her handbag. She's got a British passport. You want me to take you to her?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I unlocked the cabin this morning. There's no point. I mean, there's nowhere she can go. I just told her to stay put.
What's all this talk of mutiny?
The old man threatened that everyone would lose their seaman's ticket when he found out about that stowaway. We're on a straight run from New York. She must have been smuggled aboard then. She's in here.
Don't you knock when you enter a lady's apartment.
I understand that you're an unauthorized passenger on this vessel, that you left New York without going through customs and immigration.
What's that got to do with the price of eggs? I'm a British subject, and I've got a British passport.
Well, don't mind that now. How'd you get aboard this vessel?
I just waited until no one was looking. Then I just ran up the gangway and hid.
She's lying. Somebody must have brought her food.
Was this cabin locked all last night?
Locked? The rotten swines kept me in here like a caged animal.
Yes, it was
Well,
locked.
who locked this woman in?
I did. On instruction on the skipper. I come and unlocked the cabin door.
And about time, too.
Where was this woman hiding when she was discovered?
She was in the hold. We ran into some bad weather. The skipper was told that some of the cargo had shifted because of a bad list to port. It's one of the worst squalls I've experienced for years. You there. Go on, George. Secure those cracks over there.
If that stuff breaks away, we've had it.
Well, what's that doing over there? That looks rather dicey. You don't think we ought to land?
Blimey. How'd you get in here? Hey, we've got a stowaway, Miss Hughes. What are you doing in here, Ma?
Oh, leave me alone. Just leave me to die.
Poor old girl. You'll be all right, Ma. The worst of the squall's over. You'll feel better once you get up on deck.
Better? Wait until the skipper hears of this.
How did you get aboard?
Don't question her now. She needs a doctor.
She's going to be a bit pushed. They ain't got no ship surgeon.
Water. Water. I need some water.
You were in a bad way, weren't you?
Bad way? I thought I was never going to get out of the hold alive.
What happened? Were you taken to the captain of this vessel?
I wasn't taken to him. I was dragged. The way he carried on, you'd have thought I was trying to blow up his wretched boat.
When did all this take place?
Night before last.
So, you've been aboard the Dolphin ever since she left New York Harbor?
Well, I wasn't dropped onto the ship by parachute.
I don't think there's any need to be funny, madam. The captain of the Dolphin has been murdered, and you are implicated.
Pick a pack of Blossom, get its farm fresh taste today. When your breakfast gets them waking in the morning. Blossom.
Whether spread on toast or frying eggs to a golden turn, Blossom Yellow Margarine tastes the way your family loves it. Light and fresh.
On the sandwiches you're making in the midday Blossom.
Give your busy, hungry family their sandwiches with Blossom. They can taste the farm-fresh flavors, good and healthy.
For your roast and baking in the evening Blossom.
When your family's at supper, they'll enjoy a roast with the touch of Blossom. They'll love it on their vegetables and spread on crisp, warm rolls. So give them all the farm-fresh taste of Blossom.
Blossom helps a busy mum. Make sure today you're choosing it, using it. Blossom, Blossom. Pick a pack of Blossom.
Pick a pack of Blossom.
For the first time, this very tough-looking lady, if lady is the right word, showed some signs of fear. Although, had she been locked in the cabin, as the first mate stated, the woman could hardly be accused of murder.
You don't think...
Never mind that now. I understand you have a passport. Please hand it over.
It's my property.
Madam, I don't think you realize sufficient of the situation you're in. I'm a police officer, and it's my duty to arrest you for illegally boarding and traveling on this vessel. And no doubt, by the time the Dolphin arrives at Southampton docks, more serious charges will be leveled at you. Now, where's that passport?
Here, in my bag.
Thank you. Oh, I see that your name's Sadie Bowden, that you're a widow, that you're born in London. How long were you in the United States?
5 years. I went out to join my sister. Then I decided to come back to Britain. Look, all right, so I tried to get a free trip back to Southampton. Is that so terrible?
I'm taking possession of your
Give
handbag.
it back to me. You can't do that.
Dear me, you seem to have a considerable amount of dollars for a woman who needs to hide in a ship's hold. As I say, you can consider yourself under arrest.
You mean I'm not going to get locked up in here?
There's no point, unless you're the suicidal type, and I don't think you are. Where's the wireless cabin, Mr. Hughes?
Which of these messages would you like me to send first?
This one, to New York, and then get through to the Southampton CID and give them this message.
Right, sir.
Before you start sending these messages, Sparks, there was a rumor in the docks that some kind of mutiny was taking place aboard this ship. Now, you're the only one who could have started that rumor. Unless somebody else has the use of your wireless cabin.
I'm sorry about that, sir. I'm in hourly contact with our Southampton office. Once we're in the 3-mile limit.
Yeah?
I reported the stowaway, and as Fred Challen was receiving the message, I jokingly said that the ship's crew were mutinous because the skipper was locking this beautiful girl in the cabin and having her all to himself.
Have you seen the stowaway?
No, sir. But 3 of the crew digged. I understand she's no chicken, but something of a hellcat in spite of her age.
So there's no question of any of the crew being mutinous?
Well, I wouldn't say so, sir. Naturally, some of them resented being accused of helping her to stow away in the hold.
What chance would she have had of getting ashore if she hadn't been discovered?
Oh, not very difficult. It was 1,000,000 to 1 for the cargo to have shifted as it did. The crew would have been signed off, the immigration and customs would come aboard, well, they wouldn't have started unloading for at least 24 hours. Whoever was helping her would wrap a great sou'wester around her, and what with all the mist and the fog, oh, well, she'll have got ashore all right.
You talk as though this sort of thing's been done before.
Of course it has. Well, I don't say it's done often, but you go and mix with the ship's crews along the dockside pubs. You'll hear some stories that make your hair stand on end. Well, if you excuse the expression, sir.
All right, Sparks. Send off those messages as soon as you can.
Right away, sir.
Oh, and let me know as soon as you get a reply from New York.
Right, sir. Oh, excuse me, sir. There's a message coming through.
Ah, there you are, Mr. Gar. I've arranged for you to use the captain's cabin.
Good. I want to question every single member of the crew.
Very good.
Have you a ship's plan, you know, where the sleeping quarters are, galleys on?
Oh, yeah, in fact, you'll find it on the wall of the cabin. It's a chart of the Dolphin.
Good.
A message for you, Mr. Mate. Harbour Master says that we can get ready to weigh anchor. We can expect the signal to proceed in about a matter of minutes.
Right, Sparks. I take it the tugs are standing by.
Yes, Mr. Mate.
Well, if you'll kindly show me to the captain's cabin. My aim was to question every member of the crew, particularly as to where they were and what they were doing at the time when the captain was murdered. But in so doing, I hoped to find out which of the crew conspired to get the woman into the hold.
I was fast asleep on my bunk, to be sure. There was 4 of us in that cabin. Myself, Taffy Evans, Monty Fisher, and Harry Fraser.
Were you dressed for any emergency?
Dressed? If you mean was we wearing pajamas? Oh, no. Our vest and underpants are good enough for the likes of us.
I didn't mean that, Mr. Collins. As soon as Mr. Hughes realized what had happened, he raised the alarm. What happened? Who woke first?
It was Taffy Evans, to be sure. When I'm asleep, it takes more than an alarm bell to wake me.
4 of the crew able to give each other an alibi. And so it went on. And with the interrogation came the depressing thought that finding the culprit was going to be no easy task. I left George Ramsey at the last. I understand it was you who found the stowaway.
Yeah. I wouldn't have noticed her if I didn't hear some strange voices coming from behind those crates.
Well, that means you're in the clear as far as the stowaway is concerned. Who brought her aboard?
I don't know. Honest, I don't.
But you must have heard talk. She'd been down in that hold for over 8 days. Somebody must have brought her food, water. But come on, who was it?
I'll tell you, Governor, no one goes down into the number 2 hold. It was only that the cargo was in danger because of the ship's list. I've never seen a storm like it.
But how did anyone know that the cargo was in danger of becoming loose?
We didn't. That is, no one except the skipper. He was a hard man, was Captain Timbolt, but no finer a sailor existed. I was on the foredeck during the storm. We were all making fast under the supervision of the first mate.
Captain, she's rolling heavy, Mr. Hughes. I'm worried about the cargo in number 2 hold. I suggest you take Ramsey to Freeman. Just make sure everything's all right. The starboard sides received quite a hammering. Right, skipper. Come on, you two.
I see. You say you respected your skipper. Well, who hated him? Who hated him so much as to kill him?
No one. I don't believe it. They say he was found at the bottom of the ladder. The going was pretty rough. He might have fallen.
You wouldn't say that, Mr. Ramsey, if you saw the body. All right, thank you. I seem to be getting nowhere fast. Oh, tell Mrs. Bowden I want to see her.
Aye, sir.
Mrs. Bowden, I now know why you had to stow away on a ship, although you've got over $2,000 in your bag. This has just come down from the wireless room. I'll read it to you. British subject Sadie Bowden disappeared in New York precinct whilst awaiting charge being concerned with attempted extortion conspiracy, bail forfeited. The rest doesn't concern you.
Listen, I can explain. It was all a mistake. You see, this girl
Now,
went
save
to...
your breath, Mrs. Bowden. If the New York police want you for an extortion rap, that's their affair. I shall be handing you over to the Southampton police on stowaway charges. Or I might take you with me to book you on a charge of conspiracy to enact a murder.
Murder? Murder? Well, you're crazy.
Am I? One night you're discovered by the master of this vessel acting as a stowaway. The following night he's found with the back of his head stove in. It's no good, Mrs. Bowden. It's too great a coincidence.
I swear, it isn't true. All right, I'll tell you. These 2 sailors were in the Blue Domino on the Battery.
The Battery in New York?
Yeah. I knew that if I tried to skip the country, I'd have been caught before I got to a railway station, let alone an airport. I was on bail, on condition that I didn't leave Brooklyn. So I got 2 of my girls to chat these sailors up. They were off the Dolphin. Told us it was due to sail at dawn that morning.
Gone?
Well, they got me a jersey and trousers and a cap, and the 3 of us staggered onto the docks, all pretending to be drunk. One of them went up to chat the lookout, and the other sneaked me aboard and took me down to that terrible place where they kept all the cargo.
What are their names? Oh, come on, woman. Can't you see the position you're in?
I don't know their full names. One was called Chips. Suppose he was a carpenter.
The other?
He was called Harry.
Sam Hart and Harry Lester. Well, they've admitted it. I've got them both on a close arrest.
I understand you're ready to sail.
Yeah. What are you going to do with these murderers?
We don't know that they are the murderers.
Why else should the skipper be killed?
Well, my difficulty is that there doesn't seem to be any motive.
Motive? You realize what these men can get for assisting a stowaway?
The point is, Mr. Hughes, that had they killed the stowaway, then their guilt might never be known. Why kill Captain Timbolt? They were safe so long as the woman never talked.
Yes, Marks?
Orders to sail, sir.
Excuse me, Inspector Carr. I want it up the bridge.
the merchant vessel Dolphin sailed into Southampton harbour and was then guided by two sturdy tugs into the docks. The stowaway was handed over to the Southampton police, and I felt that there was no point in keeping the ship's crew on board. It was with a certain amount of reluctance that I told the first mate that they could go ashore, providing each member of the crew left an address where they could be contacted. I set up headquarters at the Transatlantic Shipping Company's dockside office. Well, there's no need to keep you any longer either, Mr. Hughes. I understand the Barking police are breaking the sad news to Mrs. Timbo.
They should have done what I suggested. Buried him at sea. That's what he would have wanted.
Possibly, but that would be impossible. At this very moment, the senior police surgeon at Southampton is examining the body. Carr?
This is Southampton General Hospital.
Yes?
The result of the examination is you requested, Chief Inspector. Estimated time of death between 8 and 10 p.m.
Repeat that.
Between 8 and 10 p.m.
Thank you. Mr. Hughes, I think it'll save time if we go over your statement again. You've got quite a long journey in front of you. Now, you say that about halfway through the middle watch you went out on deck.
Now, look, can't I do this some other time?
No, I'm afraid not, Mr. Hughes. If I can complete your statement, I can get back to London. Now, you say that you were on deck halfway through the middle watch when you saw a man running away.
Right, yes.
And it was obvious to you that your captain had just been killed.
Yes.
Impossible. We've just heard that Captain Timbolt met his death between 8 and 10 o'clock that night. Where were you between 8 and 10?
What's all this about?
I've been asking the wrong sort of questions, that's what. You saw someone running away. What was he dressed in?
Like any sailor. His jersey, his cap. I told him it was too dark to see.
I'm arresting you, Mr. Hughes, for the murder of Captain William Timbolt, and I must warn you. All right, Mrs. Bowden. You're being moved to the magistrate's cells. Whatever you're charged with, it won't be murder. Hughes has confessed. You're not implicated at all. It seemed that the first mates and the captain quarreled violently. Timbolt went on deck and saw Hughes about to enter the cabin where they'd placed Sadie Bowden. He asked him what he was doing. Hughes made some sort of obscene suggestion, and the captain warned him that he would be reported to the shipping company. Hughes followed the captain to his cabin and struck him with an axe taken from the fire precaution cupboard. Once I proved to him that his first statement contained an inaccuracy, he made another, contradicting his original version as to how he came across the dead body. Did you notice it? Not sure? Then listen to the commercial, and I'll be back to tell you.
Pick a pack of blossom, get it from fresh taste today. When your breakfast gets them waking in the morning. Blossom. For the sandwiches you're making in the midday blossom. For your roast and baking in the evening blossom. Pick a pack of blossom.
Blossom Yellow Margarine.
Pick a pack of blossom.
For sandwiches that burst with health and farm-fresh taste.
Pick a pack of blossom.
For frying eggs to a golden turn. For dabbing on your vegetables, carrots, peas, potatoes.
Pick a pack of blossom.
For baking and roasting and spreading on crisp, warm rolls. And satisfying your family with its farm-fresh taste.
Blossom helps a busy mum. Make sure today you're choosing it, using it. Blossom, blossom. Pick a pack of blossom.
Make a pack of Blossom.
Well, we know that Hughes lied when he said that he saw the killer run away at 2 a.m., since Timbolt was murdered some hours earlier. But where did his second statement disagree with his first? Simply this. Originally, Hughes said,
I saw someone in oilskins running away.
But when we were on land, he said, oh, what was he dressed in?
Like any sailor. Jersey, cap.
Of course, his statement about quarreling over Sadie Bowden was nonsense. He knew that with Timbold out of the way, he'd at last realize his dream and be able to use his master's ticket. He saw the stowaway as an opportunity to cast suspicion on everyone aboard the Dolphin except himself. He proved to be wrong. Good night.
The Epic Casebook was produced by Michael Silver for the makers of Epic Sunflower Oil, Maple Margarine, Yum Yum Peanut Butter, Niblets Cheese Twists, Halverine Bread Spread, and Blossom Yellow Margarine, with Hugh Rouse as Inspector Carr. Listen again next Thursday night at 9:30 to another exciting story from our Epic Casebook.